three, Randy.
3.
What did I just decide?
There are 3 different paths if you want to call yourself a world champion of sim racing. NASCAR, open wheels, or endurance racing. But no matter which one you take, you can guarantee that the journey will always be tough, which few will ever complete. The iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, the premier road racing series in sim racing, started with a new car taking center stage. Then, it was Martin Kroenke resisting any challenge thrown at him to break the 5-year stranglehold of Gregor Hutu as being world champion. These drivers and teams are not just competing for pride, they're competing for money. And with over $20,000 in prizes for each of the series up for grabs, drivers really do put it all on the line.
The NASCAR Beginner Series powered by iRacing is the premier NASCAR esports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a 3-time Oval World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign.
The Blancpain GT Series hosts the top GT3 endurance teams in sim racing, with groups of 3 or more drivers sharing the wheel. This is a championship you can't win alone, and you need the same determination, passion and drive from your teammates to be successful. They often say that it takes just one mistake to lose a championship, and in team racing, it may not be your mistake that costs you the win. Last season, VRS Coanda Simsport won the championship by a single point. This year, who will step up to the plate?
These are the iRacing Esport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. Catch it all season long with live coverage on iracing.com/live. Welcome to the month of May in the iRacing World Championship Series, and welcome to the 3rd round of the Blancpain GT Series here on Racesport TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. And well, last time out, Coanda showed that they are able to break core sim racing stranglehold, but it was close in that 90-minute sprint race at Brands Hatch. We keep the series in the United Kingdom, heading ourselves from the 2nd track in the UK over to the 1st. The racetrack that hosted the first ever Formula One World Championship Grand Prix just on the 13th of May, 1950. And today, it hosts the 3rd round of the Blancpain GT Series. As you say, we are here, we are live at Silverstone. It's Will Vincent, Paul Smith, Jake Sperry, Randy Cheneth. And you'll see that this is what the conditions are today. High wind speeds again, 14 kilometers an hour. That is going to make it difficult as these drivers traverse on what is essentially an airfield, especially for the Maggot, Beckett, Chapel complex. And also then again a little bit at the end of the lap through Brooklands, in towards Luffield, and then through Woodcott. The air temp, it's 72 degrees Fahrenheit and the humidity is high. That means that drafting is likely to be important. Qualifying is underway as we speak. We welcome you in then to the RaceSpot TV booth. And well, I'm going to come to you first, Paul. Qualifying here, it is important. More because it's about getting yourself in position earlier on, but overtaking as possible. Course and Racing Orange lead the way. We expected that because they're in a McLaren.
Yeah, absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, it's a high-speed track, is this. Really important to have a good car that's good through the medium to high-speed corners as well. And that McLaren is looking absolutely fantastic around here today. Overtaking is possible. You've got places like going into Copse Corner if you're a little bit brave, down the hanger straight into Stoke Corner, through the Vale as well, the left-hander before Club. That's a good move, and also through the Abbey chicane. So there are plenty of opportunities to make those overtakes happen. So qualifying is still important, but it's not absolutely the end of the world if you don't get into those top 3 or 4 positions.
Yeah, as well as that, Jake, it's going to be important, I think, today for these drivers to make sure that they manage their tyre strategy well. We saw a bit of chatter before this event, and, well, this was a race last year where Coanda shocked us all. Many people know what Coanda did now. Many people know that strategy can be wild and crazy here, but the important thing is you've got to come up with an idea before you get into this event. You can't just say, oh, we'll try and do something, it'll be okay, because that's not going to work.
No, it's not here, and that has to be playing in the back of drivers' minds and teams' minds as they look to traverse this circuit today. We know that there is an ability to really get the unexpected out of this circuit, and there is a lot of potential to go through it. It's also worth noting here today, though, Will, that the track temperature is up at an astonishing 38 degrees here today. It's hot, it's sticky, it's going to be one of those things that is going to be incredibly difficult for drivers to really go and adapt to, because this is, you could argue, a more adverse condition than what you normally see to drive.
Yeah, and 38 degrees Celsius equates to just about 102 degrees Fahrenheit. So, Randy, there's a big difference between the air temp and the track temp here today.
Yeah, there definitely is, and it's exactly 100 degrees Fahrenheit what we have today, and that's going to make it interesting. Like we just said, on tires, it's going to be very difficult to keep these cars really underneath these guys, especially if they're thinking about doing any tire shenanigans. You're going to really have to underdrive these cars today, I think, if you're going to try to get that sort of tire life and be able to keep competitive times up.
On board right now with Marcus Lenderman. He's qualifying the car for the VOS Coanda Supersports car, currently in 10th. Looking to go a little bit faster, and there's the gap that he's got to make up right now. Just under half a second to Course and Racing Orange. On the exit of Luffield he comes. I'm not quite sure whether this lap's going to go any faster. We'll keep an eye out on it though, as he works himself past the stride, and up to 3rd place for Coanda. That's good there, Jake.
Oh, it's a fantastic lap from the VRS Coanda Simsport team there, and it puts them right in the prime position, in and amongst like they were last time out, actually, when we were at that circuit of Brands Hatch. So when it comes down to it, that might be something that will play in as a factor here. Moving on, of course, we still have 5 minutes of qualifying, and the likes of Inex Racing Red have another lap after this one to work with. Rasmussen also on his final lap for the Course Sim Racing Orange team, leaders of the championship right now, Will, by an astonishing 13 points over their own teammates.
Yes, of course, in Racing Orange have it going for them. We'll talk about championship implications in just a moment's time. And, well, out of Luffield then will come Course in Racing Orange as they head themselves towards the stripe then. Are they going to go any faster? The answer to that question is yes, they do. You see it there along the top of your screen. 145, 246. 3 times faster than anyone else in the field. Dark Contigo are on track as well. And Dark Contigo, heads to Cecilia. Well, Paul, we know they can qualify well.
Certainly can, and well, they're just going around, just getting a bit more practice in these conditions. So they've set all their lap times here, and currently in 6th place. Pure Racing Team Red, I do believe that they've got a lap available to them to put another final lap time in. So Maximilian Benecke was certainly trying to push on in that Ford GT, but Contigo find themselves in a really good, solid 6th place at the moment, with very few cars left to really challenge them.
Yeah, having a look through this, and we can pick up Benecke in a moment's time. But whilst we have the opportunity, let's show you your championship standings right now, heading into this event. And Corsim Racing Orange lead the way, Corsim Racing Silver in second. Then it's Inex Racing Blue, Inex Racing Red, Evolution Racing Team, Commander Sim Sports, Next Level Racing, Commander Sim Sports 8, iRacing Brazil Team, and then the second Evolution Racing Team. What you see there, the multi-team efforts are really working well here, Randy. Corsim Racing Orange and Silver, though, Orange have the advantage. Silver's job here today, try and secure that 2nd place, and they're doing so in some aspects, but Inex Racing Blue are ahead of them in terms of qualifications right now.
Not only Inex Racing Blue, but also that VRS Coanda #1 machine. I think this is going to be a big day for that #1 VRS Coanda SimSport #1 machine. I think this is going to be the race that really dictates their championship. If they can get a good, strong result in here, they could keep it on going towards going forward into the next rounds. I think they need to have a big race, though. If they don't have one, it could be the end of the race here based on what they had in Monza. But you're absolutely right. We didn't really see this last season, did we? We saw the NX cars, all 3 of them, be strong throughout the season, but I don't think we really saw the team effort, certainly not from Coanda or any of the other teams throughout Redline. Really, it was mostly just the Redline black car that ever in for a championship. But you look, top 2 are core cars, then you have 2 NX cars, there's 2 VRS cars in there, there's 2 Evolution cars in there. In your top 10 in points right now, the only standalone teams are Next Level Racing, TTLR, and iRacing Brazil.
As the remainder of the championship just been cycling through on your screen. PRT Red then with Benecke on board of him. He's currently in that 5th position in terms of qualifying. 1 minute 40 remaining. And well, Jake, in terms of the grid so far, Corsa Racing Orange, Inex Racing Blue, Commander Sim Sport, Jim Racing Black are your top 4. Dark Contigo, actually, I would expect them to be maybe a couple of places higher than that, maybe. But it's going to be interesting because, of course, we've got McLaren's at the front of the field. We know McLaren's aren't the strongest car in a 3-hour race.
No, we know that, and we've seen how McLarens have been falling away in the opening 2 rounds of the event. So see the likes of BMW up there and the Ford GT up there, it really does prove itself in. Don't count out Inex Racing Red either, because that Mercedes will also look to try and make inroads through the field. Maximilian Benecke now rounds himself through Brooklands corner, now looks for Luffield here, this right-hander will, and Benecke needs this lap to be absolutely 100% perfect. 50 seconds left in the session, will be able to get that lap time through. Will he have the lap time clean for one? Can he find anything better for the other? And the answer is going to be 1:45.8 is not quick enough, Will. He's gone slower.
He has. He really has. And that's going to be a big disappointment then for Benecke, as the GT Ross SST car are still on track. You've also got Triton Racing and Pure Racing Team Yellow on track. Neither of these drivers, though, looking as though they are likely going to finish up their laps here with just a handful of seconds remaining in qualification here. That means we can start showing you your starting grid for round number 3 of the 2017 Blancpain GT Series here on RaceSpot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. And well, there we've got it then at the front of your field. Corsim Racing Orange. 1 minute 45, 2:46 for them. Qualification times, they were almost 3 tenths of a second. In fact, they were 3 tenths of a second faster than Inex Racing Blue. Justin Brunner will start behind the wheel of that car. McLaren's P1 and P2, but the BMW of Coanda SimSport, Marcus Lenderman in 3rd, that's going to be important. If they can get the jump early and move past the McLaren's, that race may well be Coanda SimSport. Jim Racing Black in P number 4. With row number 3 showing us this: Pure Racing Team Red in a Ford, and Dark Contigo Racing Team with Heza Cecilia in P number 6. Your first 2 Mercedes, RMP number 7 and 8. That's iRacing Red and Kiwanis Sim Sports number 8, with Yannick Samana and Mitchell de Jong, respectively, going to be starting the journey for those teams. Red number 5, Team Redline Green, Bono House and Heisenfeld Core Motorsports is Niels Koch there, rounding out your top 10. Here's a remainder of the grid coming up on your screen right now. Big grid once again. But the question is going to be really, Paul, can that BMW of Kiwanis Sim Sports get themselves ahead in this first stint? Because if they can, then they might have this race signed, sealed and delivered.
If any team can do it, it's certainly that VRS Kiwanis Sim Sport team. They've picked that BMW for a reason this series. They know what they can do with that car, and if anyone can do it, they can. But it's going to be a tough task. Those McLarens look fast through the first sector of the lap, and they need to get that job done early, really, to be able to then control the pace of the race here.
Indeed so. As there is your 40-car grid here today. All working themselves behind the iRacing first safety car. A beautiful shot then of your grid as the pace car begins to pull away as we begin to get ready for the third round of the championship. There's the rear of your field just leaving that gridding position right now. It's a full pace lap here, and that means that we've got plenty of time to get ourselves settled for the third round of the championship. Spanish commentary for this race is available thanks to our friends over at Mundo GT. And we're going to head over to them for a few minutes, get some words in Spanish.
La tercera y la cuarta posición del campeonato sale segundo, tampoco es ninguna sorpresa, y el coche número 1 de Coanda, que ya lo hicieron también el otro día, hoy van a repetir la misma tónica. O sea, el otro día salían terceros, en la salida aprovecharon, digamos, el rebufo de Rasmussen para colocarse segundo, ir a rebufo y al final pasarles.
Well, there we are then, ladies and gentlemen, as we are working ourselves on the pace lap right now. Corsin Racing Orange at the front of your field. It's prediction time. Paul, you first.
I am going to say, and it's going to be a little bit of left field. No, it's not. It's going to be Corsin Racing Orange.
Jake?
I'm going to stick my neck out here and go for the team of Pure Racing Team Red. I feel that they've had a lot of bad luck and they need to get themselves through. There's also talks of them being in a mid-season crisis as such, and I think that a win here would really shake off those rumours.
What about you, Randy?
I think that number 1 machine of VRS Kiwanis Sim Sports is going to be quick. Those guys after Monza, they need to have a big event. This is where they came out and revolutionized the strategy of this entire championship last season. Weather's hot. The BMW is good as on its tires. The McLarens aren't. I think they're going to be slow through the first 2 hours, but I think they're going to come up with something at the final stop that'll get themselves to the front.
Well, there is then the front of your field as they work themselves through. And we've got some potential breaking news here on RaceWhat TV. We'll keep you up to date, but technical issues maybe for Corsin Racing Orange at the start of this motor race. You can see they are not on track right now. And I've tried my very hardest to not say these words, but oh my word, have you ever indeed? Because Corsin Racing Orange won't be taking the start of this motor race. They look as though technical issues means they're going to start this race on pit road. That will move up iRacing Blue and Kiwanis Sim Sports to the front of this field. But because of the fact that Kiwanis Sim Sports are in third, they take the inside line. They now have control of this field. This race has almost been gifted to Coanda at the start of this one as we bring you to the green flag here of the third round of the Blancpain GT Series. We are underway and Kiwanis Sim Sports all of a sudden just think, wait a minute, oh, big trouble, big trouble there, down at your start finish straight, and we've got big problems big problems going on right now. We'll talk about that. As you can see, massive, massive pile-up right now. And I'm just going to stop for a moment. We're going to sort this one out. We're going to get you some replays of what just happened. I think I know what happened, but we just want to experience it first. Andre Borcha. Something happened to him at the very, very start of this one. And as a consequence, we've had the biggest crash that I think we've seen in the history of the World Championship Series. Let's get another look then. You want to have a look at Andre Borcha in the Core Sim Racing car. There he is. 3 cars into 2 didn't work, and as a consequence, the rear half of your field has just been absolutely decimated here, Paul.
Decimated is the right word there. That is just absolutely insane. I thought maybe we could get away with it, but then the VRS Mercedes got into the side of him, and that's when the whole track was blocked. Everybody was just trying their best to avoid any further incidents. There was cars flying about. I think both of the one of the Evolution Racing team, iRacing Brazil. It's easy to count who isn't involved in this one, Will.
It is. We're going to run through those people who have been affected once our timing and scoring updates itself here. Once everyone works themselves past the start-finish line. Live timing and scoring is now available here on Racebot TV. Visit racebot.tv/timing. And well, Jake, in the space of 30 seconds, we've had 2 big moments there for Core Sim Racing. We had them technical issues for the car starting on pole position, Andre Borcha and the sister car out of the event, and pandemonium behind.
2 different teams though, Will. There's Core Sim Racing and there's Hoyts-Velcourt Motorsports
yes, you're
getting
right.
involved.
Sorry.
So in that situation, you know, for what has been the horrible start of the season for Hoyts-Velcourt Motorsports, it continues, and not the way they would have wanted. For the championship leaders, though, if they can get themselves back going here, 1 lap down, 2 laps down, championship over, and, you know, for the time being, that's a huge, huge issue that has been going on for them. And right now, Kawanda can sit at the front and they can dominate.
I can tell you, Isaac Price has got out the pit, so he's taken over from Frederick Rasmussen's car. He's way down at the back of the field. We have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cars on pit road at the moment, all involved in that huge incident.
Indeed so, and yes, of course. Core Sim Racing, Hoyts-Velcourt Motorsports, 2 different teams, of course. So I do apologise for the previous comment there, but Core Sim Racing, of course, had themselves that issue with Frederick Rasmussen. Technical issues at the start of this race. They got on towards pit road. Isaac Price is now in that car, but they are down in P number 38. The teams and the drivers who are out of this race right now, well, iRacing Brazil team with Bruno De Carmo are out. You've also then got yourself Odux Motorsports, number 30 machine, Vortex Sim Racing Green, Hoyts-Velcourt Motorsports, number 66, Andre Borcha, who of course started that incident. Then you've got yourself Jeremy Bootley in the Kawanda Sim Sports number 18 car. Crossmaster Ravenna yellow, Stefan Muschler, NX Racing yellow, PJ Sturgis, Vortex Sim Racing blue, Odux Motorsports 07 car. There's some big, big names in there, Randy.
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of big names in there, and really, if you're the number 24 machine, Isaac Price and Core Sim Racing Orange right now, I think you just got bailed out in a huge respect. You come away with the pole, 3 rounds into the championship. This is going to be the halfway point. Frederick has his technical issues, and then half the field essentially gets caught up in a big incident before turn 1. That is the difference, I think, potentially Core fighting for a top 30 today, and potentially being able to scrape away a top 15.
Yeah, indeed so, and I think, Randy, that's going to be hugely important, because actually, if you look at it right now, trying to find out where Isaac Price is, technically, he is, if I'm just going to check there on the timing and scoring, but he is still on the lead lap.
Yeah, last time he came across our timing sheets, he's only 45 seconds off the race lead. And if Frederick's technical issues are solved, and if Isaac is able to work this first stint really, really strong, they're going to be on the same pit cycle basically as everyone else. These guys are quick. Over most of this field, these guys can overcome a 30 to 35 second advantage over the course of 3 hours, potentially even more.
So you're therefore looking there, Paul, at maybe, I would say they could touch the top 10 here. And for them, having the heartbreak that they had at the start of this motor race, they are now on the opportunity that they have got the chance to still score some decent points here. They may not, actually, they might still even end up leading the championship after this one. It's going to be much closer than what it was. And even if they don't lead the championship at the end of this one, it's a much better situation than what we thought about 7.5 minutes ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've already made it one position with Radicals Online Steel Series having issues. As we say, dropped down 37 positions as Core Sim Racing Orange, but well, they're only about 46 seconds behind your leaders at the moment, and we've seen that they've got the pace in that car to be able to push forward. But you know, as we keep on saying many times, catching is one thing, but passing is quite another.
Yes. As we're just having a look from the rear of Koala Sim Sports #1 machine, Marcus Lenderman. You talk about good luck here today, actually, Paul. And actually, Marcus Lenderman's had all the luck in the world, because now he can try and outdrive these McLarens over the course of the first 2 hours or so in a way that he might not have been able to if he even just got stuck behind one of them.
Well, this is it. He's been given an opportunity here, and he's taken it while he can. He's only got a 1.2 second lead, though, at the moment, so he's going to just try and slowly just break it away, but he doesn't want to push the car too hard, too early. As we were saying, very hot track conditions here, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, as Next Level Racing have got past Pure Racing Team. Pure Racing Team are fighting back there, so that's a battle over 15th place. But yeah, definitely, they've got the opportunity here, but as I say, and as we said at the start of the broadcast, hot conditions for the track, you don't want to push those tyres, you want to just keep it going nice and steady away.
That gap is up to 1.1 seconds right now. It's PRT in second place, NX Racing in third, and we've got to actually pay attention to this one, Jake, because this is a battle inside of your championship right now. Beneke in second place is having a way better time right now as a consequence of all the drama we've had in the opening laps for this one. NX Racing Red, Yoni Tamana in third place. We know how good Yoni Tamana is.
Yeah, we certainly do, and Yoni Tamala arguably is that ace in the pack for NX Racing, and NX Racing Red especially. You look at where they are in the championship, they actually hold a 3-point lead here compared to VRS Coanda Sim Sports. Of course, they will drop behind if things stay as they are and would need to try and get past Coanda, but I think they'll be pretty content in sitting where they are right now. But that's not the biggest issue with them. I'd say the biggest issue is still that Core Sim Racing Orange car, Will, because you go back to, say, Imola last season and what happened with Hoyks and Velcro Motorsports and the stint that Alexander Voss made. He brought that car from the back of the field to second. What's to say that that can't happen again?
I think if you're going to talk about that one, Jake, what you've got to think of is crazy strategies here. And Isaac Price, I mean, let's just have a look for him right now. The gap is 46 seconds right now. His last lap time, 147.446. It was half a second slower than your race leader. Now, he can gain a lot of time up. He hasn't got the draft working for him, which at the start of the race helps with fuel consumption, also helps a little bit sometimes with the tyres. But over here, they can still keep it together, but the issue's going to be they might have to sacrifice their tyres and go 0 tyres the entire race. And we know that that is really going to hurt you in the final hour.
Yeah, it can here, and it might be a case they might have to go for the no tyre. They might decide to go tyres at every single stint, maybe bar one. The conditions also really doesn't open up too much. It might go completely different way in terms of the strategy on tyres today, just because that track is so hot and it is churning up and eating up tyres at an alarming rate here today. I'm also looking at this battle here, Will, behind Pure Racing Team Blue. That's Maximilian Venig, has Madison down behind, and that train of about 8-10 cars is right there. Here comes back Madison down, looking to the inside for position number 14, and I think he's going to make that one very, very comfortable, but doesn't have it in the mid part of the corner. They stay side by side.
They almost went 3 wide, actually, Jake, down into that section of the racetrack, and that would always be a stairs situation in towards Stowe Corner. You've got yourself there, the number 91 machine of Madison Downs, the one that we're paying most of our attention to right now. These are the next level racing TTLR machine, and he was the one that tried to make the move down on Maximilian Wedding in terms of that 14th place. They tried to do so again in towards the Abbey chicane, and what? Abbey's a place check, but really, you don't make a pass. What you do is use it as a point to set up the driver to run into maybe Brookland, or as we actually see that, a run in towards Brookland from the Evolution Racing Team car. That was Simon Fiegel, who just moved from Laszlo Carter in that Frostmaster Movano red car a little bit offline.
Yeah, moved Lucas Jeds that a little bit offline there in the MSP Phoenix Racing 1 machine there, the number 85 will. And a move into Priory can certainly be a very good opportunity and understanding. Of course, the only time that you really can make that move into Abbey is if your name happens to be Martin Kroenke and you have a certain Gregor Hootu in front of you who's run out of fuel. Besides that
have
point,
you ever?
Yeah, have we ever? You know, this is the situation that drivers find themselves in. If you're in the middle of the pack, you can very easily lose 2-3 seconds a lap trying to battle here, and that was the case for MSP Phoenix, and they have to be careful. There's also some great battles here, Will, right up towards the front. Red Line Green versus Coanda Sim Sport 8, the likes of Glacier Racing versus Hoyts and Velcourt.
Yeah, and we've been joking a bit about people running out of fuel in this webcast already, Randy, but actually when you think about it here today, high humidity actually does mean that these guys are going to be using a little bit more fuel. That could pose a couple of issues along the line.
It certainly could. These guys are definitely going to be able to hit the hour mark here today at Silverstone. When generally it's only Monza that are really worried about fuel numbers and, you know, maybe the strategy that you might see for the next 90-minute race at Zolder. So I think everyone should have the fuel to hit the hour. I think the thing that's going to be the big concern is that after that big snafu on the front straightaway at the start of the race, I think there's going to be a lot of drivers that are down the order, not just Core Sim Racing, that are going to want to really push the edge on fuel and really want to sputter out as they cross the line to take the checkered flag. I think what we might see, wouldn't be a surprise to me, is see if people misjudge the amount of laps that are remaining. If they think that, say, whoever's leading at the end of that final lap, can they do an extra lap, or, you know, if they guess 1 lap too less, they will run out and they'll have to stop. If they get it right, they might just be able to jump a spot.
Not as bad as what you have at circuits like Road America, where it's almost impossible to work yourself up the hill if you're light on fuel at the end. But there's your top 8. Bottom of your screen with almost 15 minutes of this race course complete. It's Coanda Sim Sport leading the way by 1.7 seconds over Pure Racing Team Red. In 3rd place is Inex Racing Red, then Dark Contigo Racing Team. You've then got yourselves Inex Racing Blue, Jim Racing Black, Team Red Line Green, Coanda Sim Sports rounding out your top 8, and a reminder of your top 10. That is Glacier Racing with Tankenham and Hikes and Velcourt Motorsports with Niels Koch. 2 drivers. Actually, what we want to pay attention to, Paul, is what can the likes of Mitchell de Jong, James Tankenham and Niels Koch do here today, because they are all fantastic drivers at this track.
They are fantastic drivers at this track, and you know, they've got the talent and they've got the ability with them. And in that Mercedes, going to be able to push on through, because it is a fast car as that down the straights, as one of the guys in front, Mitchell de Jong, making the move down the inside of Bono House. So that's a change of position there.
Who said you can't pass at Abbey?
Yeah. I'm sure I highlighted that as one of my overtaking spots around here, but anyway, yeah, so that's up to 7th place now for Mitchell de Jong in that VRS Coanda Sim Sport car. So VRS Coanda Sim Sport, they're looking good, 2 cars in the top 10 as they're going through, but still long way away. We've only had a quarter of an hour of the race. It feels like it's been longer than that already.
There's de Jong there, replay of him making that pass over Bono House, and well, there's going to be some people that are sick and tired of me saying this, but Bono House in that Team Red Line green car, P number 8. Jake, is he really happy with being P number 8 right now after losing a position to their biggest rival in sim racing that looked to be like an easy pass? And, you know, yes, they're in different cars. Yes, one's in a Merc. Yes, one's in a Ford, but that looked too easy.
The problem was that Bono House actually made a mistake going into Vale before. That completely compromised the run, heading up through Club, and that meant that the run was so easy there for Mitchell de Jong to really make that move past. If you also look at Bono House as a driver, I don't think he's the sort of driver who really does suit GT3 racing. I think he's a good addition to any form of team that tries it, but I don't think House is an out-and-out endurance driver. That's the issue that I think he has in this series, in this vehicle. So to see him in P number 8 actually is probably a true reflection of his talents in this vehicle.
Maybe he'll be a better off driver, Jake, in the 6 hours of Spa than he would necessarily be in the 90-minute race that Brands actually had a week ago.
Yeah, I think he could be a much better player on a long game that we see. I think in a short 1 hour stint, I think that he does a good job, but we know that he can be a little bit tail happy with many vehicles on the service, and we know that he does have that ability to turn it on when he needs to. But when you put him in, say, a more relaxed race where it's a lot longer, there's a lot less pressure on him as well, I think that he could really excel in those sorts of scenarios.
Well, let's have a look at the moves and shakers in the event so far. Koana Simsports, of course, are the big movers in terms of what they're leading the motor race. They're up 2 places. That one really, Paul, came from the fact that they almost got gifted first position because they were in 3rd in qualifying, and the fact that then we had ourselves the issues of course in racing. They essentially moved up to the inside front row and to pole position.
Yeah, they inherited that inside line for turn, for Luffield and then Woodcut to get the race going. So able to get the job done straight away and able to pull away. 1.8 seconds a gap now between them and second place. But really, it just all fell into place for them. You know, you don't want to see somebody having major technical problems like that at the start of the race. But I tell you what, it's added a lot of drama to the start of this race.
It has indeed. NX Racing Blue are down 3 places from where they qualified. They are struggling a little bit right now, Randy. And actually, I would argue that they are your biggest losers, not just in terms of the fact they've got the biggest red arrow down in the top 10, but they are one of those teams that needed to keep themselves a top 3 in the first 2-3 laps of this motor race.
They actually lost most of those spots on that opening lap. I think actually Justin Brunner was with Freddie essentially dropping out. I think that Justin was a little bit confused about whether he was now the pole sitter who controlled the field or whether it was supposed to be Marcus Linderman, and he just got a very slow start, very slow reaction. Then both the sister car, the NX Racing Red Mercedes, as well as the Dark Antigua Racing Team car, as well as Pure, both all managed to slip through basically in that opening lap, and with that they got relegated back to 5th place. I'll say this, they're still running strong where they're at. They're still, keeping tabs with all these guys out in front. I think these top 5 all very, very equally matched. It is about maybe, varying by a 10th or 2 every single time around. So I don't think they're out of it just yet, but I will say that I think if you were Justin Brunner, you would have definitely preferred to have that second spot going up into Maggots for the first time.
Indeed so, and that's the bit that you don't want to see at the rear of your field. Corson Racing Orange are down 37 positions here today. They're running themselves in the 38th position. They are circulating on track, but they are not having the best time. In fact, they have just moved themselves up 1 position. Team Traffic has moved themselves through, and there's the big losers. iRacing Brazil team, Vortex Sim Racing Green, NX Racing Yellow, Vortex Sim Racing Blue, Odex Motorsports, Frost Arts Nirvana Yellow, and then you've got yourselves Koana Simsports and Pikesonville Core Motorsports all losing out big time due to that incident we had at the start of this motor racing. Well, Paul, that is the biggest I have seen, I think, in the history of the World Championship Series. I think outside of maybe a big wreck at Talladega.
It's the biggest accident I've seen at the start of a race, especially around this track. That's for sure. It's not the narrowest of tracks, so that's the thing about Silverstone. It's quite a wide track here, and yet still, it's a congested grid. Everybody's trying to make positions at the start, and just one little mistake, and it just has a massive chain reaction down the field. And I'm just looking at Isaac Price. He's managed to get himself now to about 2.8 seconds behind the next driver, so he's got his sights forward, and is certainly pushing on, but it's going to be a long old day for them today to get something out of this. But they've got the talent, they've got the pace. Be interested to see if those technical problems though will persist and maybe have to have somebody else join in.
Yeah, indeed. So Isaac Craigstow leads away. The fair share will come into play as well, Paul. And this is where it gets really confusing, because of the fact that he was on the pace lap. Does he have to actually do a share? So yes, he does.
It's showing as red for Fred Rasmussen.
That's really a big thing.
Yeah, because he was out there on the pace lap. It does look like he will have to try and get in and get on to be able to get that car finishing. The car, by the way, that Isaac Price is catching up to is a Mercedes, the Next Level Racing TTLR Red, and it's crabbing ever so slightly as that car. So that's obviously feeling the effects of that opening accident. Looks good round right-handers, but left-handers it's looking a bit ugly.
Opposite of an oval. Let's show you the start of this motor race again, if we can. And we want to cycle it back and show you the carnage that we had then at the rear end of your field here today. And actually, let's actually have a look on board with the pink Power Racers car, because I think this is a really good point to see how this action started off. We're on board now with Samuel Liebert. Oh my, you know what? Liebert did a fantastic job of getting through that. That was more like playing, you know those like kind of early 90s kind of airplane games, Jake? He just did basically that.
It reminds you of that Tom Cruise movie in the NASCAR where he just had to drive through the wreckage that you saw as well. That's a great little bit of what had to go on there for Samuel Liebert. He managed to get himself through for the Pink Power Racers. And the fact that they've kept themselves going and they're still in this race in position 26, it shows you that, you know, these are the best of the best and they can try and avoid as much carnage and capital as possibly can. I do want to go, though, Will, back to the front of the field. Beneke took a 10th out of the driver of Marcus Lenderman last time by in that Pure Racing Team red machine. 70 is Beneke, and the gap now down to 1.4. If he's not careful here, the driver of Marcus Lenderman, he will allow Beneke back into the slipstream, and maybe one of the greatest drivers in endurance racing might actually live up to his potential in this series.
And you know what, Randy, at the start of this race we were thinking about whether Lenderman could stave off the challenge from the McLarens. Beneke has, I wouldn't say been gifted in some ways, but I would in others. Beneke has been gifted second place. He's worked himself up to second place, and legitimately we could see a Ford GT leading and winning a race in the Blancpain GT series in the first time in forever.
Well, it wasn't part of the formula last year, but I mean, you're absolutely right. Last time we really saw those Ford GT3 cars is when the BOP was strongly in their favor about 2 years ago. Saw them run strong in the 24 hours of Spa, saw them run strong in the walk-in 6 hour, but this is going to be a crazy race. This is going to be an insane race, I think, from what we've seen in the last 2 hours. I think the mind games that you see from Coanda and Pure and NX and, you know, everyone in these top five, if you think about most everyone in these top five, Coanda, they didn't have a very good run at Monza round one. They need a strong finish today to get points. Pure, not a strong run at Monza. They need points. NX Red, not a strong run at Monza. They need points. Dark Antigua Racing Team, I think they finished around top 10. But those top three, they want a win bad just to try to catapult themselves further up the points here and try to basically rebound from their week one at Monza.
So what you're essentially telling me is that after this race we could end up with a very tight championship because everyone's had issues in their own way in the first 3 rounds of the championship, Randy.
Well, I think it's almost inevitable. Even in this is a relatively short championship at 6 rounds. I actually think it's flat out impossible to go a full championship in this series without having issues, whether it be technical or whether it be created by the drivers, whether it be getting caught up in an incident or getting the strategy wrong. I mean, you think back to last season, we saw leaders make mistakes. We saw people get the pole and then wreck out on the first hour. We saw people wreck from the lead several times, and we saw technical issues define that championship last season. I think the most notable moment has to be Coanda at Spa, where leading early, Klaus has a technical issue. They are able to go from essentially the back of the pack and rebound up to a top 10. Rebounding is more than possible in this championship. No one should be counting their cards as played, and no one should be saying they got dealt a bad hand just yet and just fold. There's definitely a chance that you can bluff the field to get yourself an all-in victory.
Oh,
Yes.
good news.
Well, good news indeed. So 5 cars from that initial instant: Odox Mudsport, Samsung, Inex Racing Yellow, iRacing Brazil team, Huizenwald Core Motorsports, who it all kicked off for them, and just now Vortex Sim Racing Blue, all back out the pits after having repairs done to their cars. They're just hoping for other cars to fall out this race and maybe gain what little points they possibly can today.
Indeed. That good news update was brought to you by the Dacia Sandero, as Inex Racing Blue remain in the 5th place right now. We were showing you a pretty fantastic battle going on, Jake. P15, 16, 17, 18 going on, and this is Next Level Racing versus Evolution Racing, and actually side by side going to come up right now as Next Level Racing going to go side by side with PR2 down the hangar straight.
Yeah, they are here, and the issue has been they haven't been able to really make that move. And stuck on the outside, it's going to have to try and get the up and under working, and you can see it's about trying to get that power down. Gets a fantastic run, but again needs to try and send its way to the inside. A little bit of argy-bargy and a bit of front to rear contact, shall we say. They all sort themselves out well, but 4-car train soon becomes a 7-car train here, Will, and it's just a case of don't hold each other up, because they are falling further and further away from Apex Racing UK.
They are. There is Antoine Heglin in at that number 14 machine. He runs himself right now in at the 13th position. Apex Racing, of course, they are well represented in both the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series and this, the Blancpain GT Series. They are running in a McLaren. They've got McLaren ahead of them. It's the Evolution Racing Team, number 27 machine, of Riley Preston just ahead of them. And just ahead of them is the Core Sim Racing Team machine of Thomas Arends, actually. So it's a bit of a Macca versus Macca battle going on right now, Jake.
Yeah, McLarens are all there grouped together, all trying to get themselves back in through this field. And the issue with the McLaren versus McLaren battle is where you normally see the advantages and disadvantages, they cancel each other out here. It now comes down to pure setup on which car is built the best here around Silverstone. And when you've got these 3 machines all fighting together, what you have to remember is 2 of these cars have been up there fighting at the top. You look at Apex at the back, maybe they're not as proven in this series, Will, because they haven't been up to the top of the field. Still a great battle for P11 on circuit, and I wouldn't put it past Higeland to really make some inroads here.
That battle we were just talking about with Pure Racing Team Next Level Racing has now got Tommaso Carla involved in it, in the number 21 Audi car. And we talk about the different cars here, Randy, and I'm going to bring you in here. The balance of performance is designed to be so that over a period of a race, all these cars should be randomly about the same. But over a championship with 90-minute races, 3-hour races, 6-hour races, certain cars will perform better than others.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfect summary pretty much right there. Is that, you know, you talk about this BMW always going to be a car that really struggles at a track like Monza. Inversely, a car like the McLaren, is going to excel at a track like Monza with that top end. You know, do a bit of a flip-flop. You take that BMW to a bit of a downforce track, maybe the Nürburgring, you know, maybe even some tracks that aren't in this championship. Spa is actually another good example. That car, that allows it to really work its aero advantage, really work its weight advantage as well, and be able to put in some properly quick lap times. Also, keeping up with this battle for the race lead, Maximilian Benecke and Pure Racing Team Red, talking about BOP, that Ford's tire conservation seems to be top tier. Max has consistently been 1 to 2 tenths quicker than Marcus has. 3 tenths is what he took out of that number 1 machine last time by.
Yeah, there we are. So, there's the battle going on between Pure Racing Team Red and Koan Sim Sport. As we said earlier on, Spanish commentary is available in this race. Let's give you a live update what's happening with the Mundo GT team.
Posición entre Coanda y Pure Racing Team. El equipo red de Johnny Tomala. que ya está a menos de un segundo, exactamente a medio, a 5 décimas. Y bonita lucha también la que se va a ver aquí, ¿eh? Fíjate que a priori no pensábamos que el BMW por esa recta, por lo menos yo personalmente, no pensaba que iba a ir tan bien aquí, y vemos a los chicos de Coanda que les gusta llevar la contraria.
Yo no confiaba tampoco en que fuera.
And let's now spend the lap on board then with the driver running in second place. This is Racesport TV fan immersion, and this is a lap on board with Pure Racing Team Red, who are now hot on the heels of Coanda Sports and Marcus Lenderman. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, May means one thing to us here on Racesport TV, and that is Indy. We have the first of our 3 Indianapolis 500s coming up to you tomorrow. It is the Apex Infotech in the Elite Series at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That is at 11 p.m. GMT. The following week, we go classic, old style IR05 machines in the Classic IndyCar Series. And then on May the 20th, we will bring you coverage of the 8th annual iRacing Indianapolis 500 over here. It will be live on Racesport TV, all 3 races, streaming live as we head ourselves to the greatest spectacle, Randy, in all of sim racing.
I can't wait for it. That's going to be a fun week. That's going to be, I mean, this is going to be a fun 3 weeks. But talking about fun, this fight for the lead's eating up.
It is indeed. We've been on board then with Pure Racing Team and Beneke versus Marcus Lenderman. And well, Paul, Beneke has closed up. And actually, let's put the lap graphic up a little bit here, because he's closed up the last 3 laps in a row. He is now officially in that dirty air. But for Beneke, I'm going to quote Murray Walker here. Catching's one thing, passing's another.
Certainly is, and when you're in that dirty air, the thing is, he might want to just sit behind, do a little bit of fuel saving, because that'll certainly help him being sat in that dirty air. It means that he's having to take less effort to get up to the same speeds as he would be if he was in clean air, so therefore uses less fuel. And well, Beneke, we've seen how quick he can be, and we've seen how quick Pure Racing Team Red can be. Let's see how he compares with Marcus Lenderman, though. That VRS Coanda SimSport car out front there. It's been forging a path at the front all race so far for the last almost 35 minutes here. And well, Pure Racing team, I think they'll be happy for the time being just to sit behind, do a little bit of fuel saving, so that they can then just extend their first stint that little bit more.
Talking about fuel saving, we talked earlier over the fact that these guys shouldn't have an issue getting themselves to the first hour of this motor race. In fact, they shouldn't have any issues in terms of overall pitting. That doesn't mean you don't have a fuel save, Paul, because you save a lap of fuel, that's a second and a half that you save on pit road.
Exactly, you know, it all adds up, and if you can save sort of like a lap, maybe 2 laps of fuel through each stint, that final stint is going to be a really short fill, and that's where you really gain that big jump over other teams. That's where you play the long game with the strategy. Oh, Lenderman, just the back end just kicking out a little bit then, through the exit, the Abbey chicane, heading through bridge into Priory, and, well, still close off. Beneke just having a little look, but not making any serious moves yet. So just trying to get into the mind of Marcus Lenderman, I think, trying to get into the wing mirrors to let him know, hey, I'm here and I want that first place.
But it seems to be that out the key corners, Randy, the BMW is faster than the Ford. Now the Ford does close up dramatically down the front straightaway, but has to brake earlier into Cops Corner, and will have to do the same as a Stone. So it will take a lunge, as we also see that First Martin Nirvana Red has just switched places with the Evolution Racing team car that we're just going to get ourselves a quick replay of.
A good move there, a little bit deeper down in your field. But yeah, talking about Pierre, is actually looking at something Max actually, I think, just really struggling through the S's right here. I think he just hemorrhaged a lot of time to Marcus there through Maggots and Beckett. Not quite sure what the issue was, but he's dropped a few tenths. Yeah,
also worth noting that the Evolution Racing team car actually went down to the inside of the Pure Racing team car. They had a crossover. The two came together, and that is what allowed the Nirvana Racing team car to go past. The PRT number 72 machine tried to do the same thing, wasn't able to do so. Interesting to note, of course, Logitech was a sponsor of the Evolution Racing team car. Jake, fascinating news out of McLaren that they're going to be hosting a championship to try and basically get someone to sit in a simulator for a year, drive around on a racetrack, and help them go faster. That's amazing.
That's brilliant. And the fact that this is the sort of recognition that sim racing is getting now, it's astonishing, as Venig gets a massive wiggle through the mid part of the corner. Goodbye, says Tommaso Car as he gets through, and all these drivers behind are incredibly frustrated and angry, and the red mist has completely descended here, Will. But what a fantastic thing is, you can see again Feigl there on the Evolution Racing team machine struggling, and it's nice to see Logitech involved as well. It's nice to see that there is so much that can happen from it. I am very excited to see what will happen coming out to McLaren.
Yeah, there's the PRT car there of Wennick losing that first position to the Frostmaster Nirvana Racing team car. Then a big wiggle from the driver behind of Simon Feigl as he works himself just on the exit of the Abbey chicane. Does stay behind the Pure Racing team blue car for the moment. You go on board with him actually, as this is a fantastic battle going on. For P number 15, 16, 17, 18 on track right now. And, well, Jake, to go back to what we were talking about, the way the championship's going to work, and we have got to remain neutral here. We don't know if iRacing is going to be one of those racing game simulators that are involved. But what is important is we've seen some big names go into real-life racing over the last couple of years. The easiest one to talk about is Glenn McGee, for example, his partnership with iRacing, then took him into Mazda, the Global MX-5 Mazda series last year. We've seen other drivers do so. We see drivers that use iRacing as a training tool like it was originally developed for. And I think that with that McLaren deal, I wouldn't be surprised to see an iRacer, if they don't win it, at least be right down in the contention of getting themselves that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the sorts of intent from McLaren in the first place. Two drivers who are incredible sim racing developers were Lando Norris and Stoffel Van Dorn. Both of them were pioneers, you could argue, in terms of using sim racing to get some real racing experience on it. You look at other drivers who have come in and used it, like some Robert Kubica, the likes of Rubens Barrichello has come in. You look at drivers who are now trying to make that switch, the likes of Lauren Heinrich moving to real world racing. You look at likes of drivers of Justin Brunner trying to get that opportunity, Glenn McGee, as you said before. So many drivers now are trying to make that crossover that this tool becomes arguably one of the greatest Swiss Army knives in the box of a racer in the modern day of racing here. I wouldn't be surprised to see 3, 4, 5 drivers all try to do it. I've even seen the likes of, say, Max Verstappen and Esteban Ocon try and do this from Formula 1.
Indeed so, and of course you've got to remember that Lando Norris is notoriously fastball in those Formula Renaults. As also, we just saw Corson Racing Silver and Thomas O'Rand moving himself past the JCL Apex Racing UK machine of Antoine Hegelin.
Yeah, I'm still looking at this battle for 16th at the moment. So I've been keeping an eye on this one while you guys have been discussing about. Yeah, likes of Lando Norris, you know, he is somebody who, you know, you can race again. I've been fortunate to be involved in a race that he's raced in on iRacing. I say involved in because I was nowhere near him. Oh, Evolution Racing Team looking down the inside of Stowe there. The Pure Racing Team car hanging the back end out around Stowe, able to carry on. And well, Simon Fiegel's getting a little bit impatient. Here comes the other Pure Racing Team car now. Maybe a little bit of rubbing there. But Florian Voith, he's getting involved here. The two PRT cars got that Evolution Racing Team car in a sandwich at the moment. But yeah, you know, you've got people who are incredibly fast in sim racing who are able to transfer those skills over to proper track racing. The thing is, though, that it's not just going to be about the sim work. It's also being able to have a good knowledge of how the cars work, how different changes will affect the cars, having a little bit of an engineering knowledge about how the car will operate with different changes. So it's not just purely a sim racing thing that they're looking at. They're looking at the whole package and being able to get somebody who's able to deliver that information that they need for trying out different strategy calls or different setups and things like that. So it's going to be really interesting to see who would actually get that position, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's somebody from the iRacing service that would get that opportunity.
Here comes Beneke to the race lead. Through Stowe corner. And he's got it. Move Beneke then to the top of the timing stands. We saw it there as we were on board of him. He just did an absolutely picture-perfect pass. We've got a replay of that one in towards Stowe corner once again, and we'll have a look because he just got a fantastic set of momentum out of Chapel corner in towards Stowe, got the inside line, held the inside line. Anderson Sports tried to pinch him a little bit, but actually Beneke was able to unwheel that car on the exit of Stowe, clear him there in towards Club corner. Let's now move Pure Racing Team to the top of your field, Randy.
Fantastic move by Max Beneke, and really, if you're the Pure Racing Team, you have to be ecstatic about that. Last season, not a great season for you, for that organization. They had a good result at Monza with the McLaren, but beyond that, you know, really downer season. Coming out, you're now leading your first laps, I think, in, you know, since last year, really. Max Beneke now gets to go to work. He was struggling in the dirty air. What can he do with some clean air? Marcus already starting to drop back a little bit.
Yeah, that gap already is 8/10 of a second. So Beneke is now basically, Jake, doing what we said that Marcus Lindemann might have to do at the start of this motor race. Break early and break away.
Yeah, he needs to here, and he needs to for his championship, or the team's championship as it were, because they come into this event, Will, in position number 30, and that might be a massive issue on paper. It's an even bigger issue in terms of a 6-race championship, Will, because being at the start of play about 55, 65 points behind, that's a massive number to build up in or try and chase back down in any form of championship. So to try and close 65 points, it means that they need to win pretty much every single race now from here to the end of the season, and I'm not sure they have the capacity to do that.
Indeed so. Pit stops then are coming up here on RaceSpot TV. We'll step aside for a couple of moments. We'll be back with more after these messages.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green.
The NASCAR Beginner for Series powered by iRacing is the premier NASCAR esports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a three-time NASCAR World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign, and as it has been for the 7 years prior, it is no longer going to be a straight shot to the championship. We are going to see the biggest change in this championship picture in series history, as for the first time ever, there will be a chase for the championship. We're going to go into the Homestead Miami Speedway at the end of the season with the 4 best oval sim racing drivers in the world absolutely tied in the championship. You just got to beat the other 3 guys out and you will become an official NASCAR champion. You're going to get yourself a NASCAR championship ring and, of course, $10,000. These are the iRacing Esport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. You can catch it all season long, live coverage on iRacing.com/live.
Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, Sunday nights are Skippy nights here on Racesport TV, streaming live on iRacing Live, 8 p.m. GMT. Catch the next round of the championship at Chiaia Okayama, round number 12 of the championship. As we welcome you back, then we are just over 45 minutes into this event, and well, Team Red Line Green on a house right now. I'm putting pressure on Jim Racing Black. Well, Jake, Jim Racing Black, the team that qualified for, are already down 3 places from where they started and are slowly building up a train behind them.
Ever so slowly they are here, and that's something they've got to be a little bit wary of here in terms of the racing. If they fall back any further, they're going to become out of contention for the racing, and that's going to be an even bigger issue for Jim, which we know that Jim likes to go on an alternative strategy. Last time out it didn't work for them, and they dropped about 10 positions down the order. Jim have been promising, but their strategic awareness, shall we say, has not been forthcoming. Also worth noting here that Pure Racing Team Red are pulling out half a second a lap on VRS Quanta Sim Sport number 1.
They are, as we just turn back to them. That gap is already 2.5 seconds, and well, 2.5 seconds is a big cushion in this type of racing pool, and that means now that Beneke can be a little bit more cautious on pit road. Yes, sometimes the Ford takes longer to fuel up, but actually now they're in a situation that with 10 minutes to go in this stint, maybe 15 minutes to go, they are in the driving seat.
Certainly are, Will, and they're trying really hard to just eke out that gap a little bit more. As you say, can afford to maybe just take a little bit easier onto that pit road, not having to push the pit entry quite so hard, but still got a good gap. It's a long way to go in this race, so as you say, we've got a battle for 4th place here as well, and it's Racing Blue and the VRS Quanta Sim Sport of Mitchell de Jong and also Dark Contigo at the front of this little mini pack of 3 cars, all battling out for that 4th place. And well, Dark Contigo at the moment holding on to that position. Jesus Cecilia doing a good job, but Justin Brunner is all over that gearbox at the moment.
He is, as they'll head themselves towards Cops Corner once again, as they enter what is actually their 29th lap of racing, their 30th lap of racing here. And actually, you've now got yourself Kalana Simsports machine of Mitchell de Jong trying to put pressure on the NX Racing blue car. And that's the swings and roundabouts for this balance of performance that goes on oh so often here, Jake.
It is here, and it's nice to see a Mercedes now looking to try and attack a McLaren. It's nice to see a Ford GT up at the front. It's nice to see a BMW there in second. It's really nice to see just how this balance of performance is changing a lot of people's perceptions on which cars are quick and which cars are not. When you look at the situation that's going on here for Mitchell de Jong, this is the car that qualified itself top from the qualification series that we saw end of 2016, start of 2017. So to say here, Will, that they don't have the potential is completely wrong. They have the potential and then some with what's going on. They've got to get past Dark Contigo, they've got to get past Inex here, but as we know, Dark Contigo, they have the tendency to fade away even, shall we say, in the final stages of an event.
They do. That is partially because they are in a McLaren. So actually, you've got to wonder that Mitchell de Jong maybe is just sat there patiently waiting around you, knowing that his McLarens might be slower later on. But as I said earlier, if you can't find the opportunities again, turn around there, it's Dark Contigo, and that's going to be an impact also for the Inex Racing Team blue car. So let's turn that story around all of a sudden, because Kind of Sim Sports may well now have a run into Copse Corner. You can see that Mitchell de Jong is pushing that pedal hard as they work themselves through Woodcock towards Copse Corner right now. We'll get ourselves a replay of what just happened for you now, because we can see clearly there's not being a move made in towards Copse Corner, but that actually happened down at Brooklands, and well, Paul, Dark Contigo did nothing wrong there.
No, they're just holding the line there. Brunner a little bit later on the brakes, looking to the inside, and yeah, just gets into that quarter panel of the car, rear quarter panel of the car, and bang, a little bit of contact, double contact there. And that VRS car got a little bit of front end damage as well, because they all concertinaed up together. But yeah, what just happened? Well,
I actually disagree there. I see that incident very differently. Jesus Cecilia coming out under bridge and on the brakings into the left-hander. That car got really loose. Justin Brunner got a big run, and Jesus Cecilia was well off the pace. He essentially drove the car diagonally on the end of the corner entry. I think that incident's all on Jesus Cecilia. I put that on a bit of an over-aggressive defending maneuver, considering Mitchell and both Justin have been quicker than Jesus, just basically training up behind him. I think they're always going to go for that move. I think that Jesus, if he blocks the way he does, there's always going to be an incident like that.
As Coanda did get themselves past the Inex Racing blue car in that melee as well, so you now move up Mitchell de Jong into P4 in this event. You can move Justin Brunner down into the 5th position. Well, Jay, this comes down to what I call diamonding off the corners, and that's kind of what you do through that section of the racetrack. It's like if it was Hockenheim, it would be the stadium section of the track here. The old Silverstone, working itself through through Bridge, in towards Brooklands, into Priory, into Luffield. You kind of diamond off the corners a little bit there.
You do. That's the racing line that was being taken, and in my opinion, I don't think Justin Brunner even got close to getting down to the inside before that incident was made. I'm not going to pass judgment. I'm not going to say it's X person's fault, it's Y person's fault here. Natural line does dictate, though, that you do start diamonding off some of those corners, and an incident did happen there. It involved all 3 of the drivers, as de Jong has a little bit of front end damage there in that 4th position 8 machine of the VRS Coanda Simsport team. But what it has done, it's now 2 VRS Coanda Simsport cars inside the top 4, and that is a relative success for a team who we do expect to be dominating races.
Yeah, and there's damage. I'll just highlight it for you there. Front end of that car got a little bit of damage. That's not going to hurt them too much, Randy, but it's still enough that it might just affect their top end speed a little bit, which will mean that Justin Brunner in that number 12 machine may well be as close back up to them.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. He's just, that front hood is just a little bit bent up, and like you said, I don't think any of those cars are actually going to have terminal damage from that incident. Just going to be mostly cosmetic, maybe a slight alteration of the handling with the aero effect. But actually, something I've just noticed, keeping track of Marcus Linderman, that BMW last time by went a lot quicker than it has in a lot of the laps. When we were watching that fight with Max Benecke, he was hanging around the 47.4s, 47.5s, couple laps he dipped into the 6s and the 7s. Last 2 laps, he did a 47.3 and then a 47.2. I'm curious to see what this lap's going to be as he comes across the line now. It's going to be a 47.4. That BMW seeming to be a little bit inconsistent here at the tail end of the run, and that tells me if you're that BMW, tire call might just be, I have to take 4 tires at the end of that final stop.
Yeah, because you notice the gaps over the last 3 laps. An eighth of a tenth of a second, a fifth of a tenth of a second, half of a second there. And Paul, that's not gaps you want to be losing when you're trying to go for the race victory here. He's lost essentially almost a second over the course of the last 3 laps, and that, in real terms, is unacceptable.
Yeah, not happy at all with losing that much time and really not able to push through. And well, I'm looking further down actually. Core Sim Racing Orange, Isaac Price on that recovery drive up to 33rd. He's going to gain a position because Pure Racing Team Blue are onto pit road. They've been having a nightmare this first stint of Maximilian Venig. He's been dropping down the order, so maybe having a little bit of an earlier stop, get some fresh tyres on the car just to try and sort that out. But yeah, you don't want to be losing gaps like that so late into the first stint. And you've also got... the thing that's going for them, that 3rd place car of iNEXT Racing Red, they're not gaining on them at the moment. So they're able to just eke out the gap over 3rd place, but not able to catch up to Pure Racing Team Red at the moment.
Yeah, but if you look at iNEXT Racing, sorry, not iNEXT Racing, Core Sim Racing Orange, we're on board with them right now. Here's the thing that I want to talk about, Jay. 59 seconds behind your race leader they are right now. When we last talked about that gap, it was 46 seconds. They have lost another 13 seconds in this stint, and that, to me, is saying, well, yeah, they might need to make their way through the field, but actually, we need to revise our predictions.
Yeah, I think they do here. Isaac Price is completely stuck behind Adria Perez. Will now go down to the inside and take that position down into Abbey. Of course, who said you could overtake at Abbey? That's something that seems to be a position going on. But, you know, now you're looking at this one. Isaac Price up into position 32, a minute off the pace, not really making the inroads that have to be made here. The only advantage is, in terms of his position, he is only 12 seconds off of P number 21, only under 20 seconds from the top 20 right now. So it's not the end of the world for Isaac Price. They can still keep themselves relatively close in the championship fight here, but we still have 2 hours of racing to go.
We've got ourselves Triton Racing on pit road. We've got ourselves Next Level Racing Madison Down on pit road as well. They are before the hour mark. That is important there, Randy.
It is. That's going to show, and fuel necessarily isn't the concern right now. The main thing is tires. The fact these guys are coming down this early, I mean, we've only had 57 minutes of the race scored complete when the leader came across the stripe, so they're about 2 laps short of that hour. That tells me these guys are not confident in the tire life in these cars at all. And while that can be a good way to get yourself up a few positions now in the early stages of the race, do an early stop now, I think it's going to hurt you at the tail end where you're going to have your longest stint be your final stint, where ideally you'd like to be quickest.
I mean, you do see some front end damage there to Madison Down's car in the Next Level Racing TTLR orange machine. Revving that car, getting ready to go. Triton Racing, Martin Patrick right behind him. Madison still revving that engine, and here he comes out of the way. As behind, Martin stays on pit road. And let's have a look at Martin's car. Let's see if there's any damage to that machine that we can see right now. Nothing that I can really see. It's a normal pit stop, 1:04. Taking all 4 tyres over there, Jake. You can tell that because of the length of the pit stop.
Yeah, you can here. Of course, you have to lift the jacks, so you can't exactly have the F1 crew, shall you say, who do all 4 tyres at the same time, up, down, get it away. It's one guy running around the vehicle trying to make sure that all the tyres are done, maybe even 2. So in that situation, you see a pit stop is a lot slower than what you'd see necessarily everywhere else. Also, the fact that they're going under the hour means that they'll have to go longer on the next set of tyres that they'll be going if they do want to get into the end of this race on a 2-stop strategy, Will. That means that their tyres will be even worse, and the philosophy of coming in early to save your tyres isn't really the best strategy.
Indeed, so we are 1 hour in them to the 3 hours of Silverstone here on Racesport TV and on iRacing Live. And well, what we know so far is that Pure Racing Team Red are the team leading the way. They have had themselves a fantastic run of form here today, got themselves past Koala Silversports on the racetrack, and let's not forget, that Marcus Lindemann inherited the race lead after technical difficulties took place that meant that poor sim racing couldn't take the green flag. And what we've got to also remember the fact that start of this motor race was absolutely crazy here today. I'm going to show you one more look at that one if we can, as these drivers heading themselves down into turn 1 in the front of your field. There was the carnage that happened behind. Pure Racing Team Yellow involved in that. Many other drivers as well. And you just see the carnage that happened at the start of this one. We're going to ride on board them for a couple of moments and show you the start of this motor race on board with the Torren Motorsports car. As you can just see, he had nowhere to go. The number 16 was pretty much stopped on track, as there's another look at it. Again, Paul, I will say, biggest crash at the start of a WCS race I have ever seen.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. We've got a few cars coming up the pit road as well, but yeah, that crash, it was just absolutely crazy. And it was once there was that initial contact and people were trying to just dive out the way, just another car getting losing control as well to avoid it, and that's when it all really just exacerbated and got a lot worse, did that. And well, we saw the end result there. We had 10 cars on pit road after that first incident. We've still got 5 of those cars on pit road now, so we've definitely lost some cars. Dark Ortega, we saw them coming to pit road. They've had a 32.6 second pit stop for Jesus Cecilia, so no tyres there, just a fuel stop. So interesting strategy call from them, considering how the McLaren likes to use its tyres.
Yeah, so they're probably saying, well, they're trying to do 2 stints and then change tyres later on there, Jake.
Yeah, maybe that can work, but we saw over last season that strategy, when it was in effect, didn't quite work. Maybe they're trying to push the boat out and try and get someone else to go on the same sort of call. That can be something that does happen here in this series, that certain drivers want things to happen. In X Racing Blue, though, come in, Justin Brunner has responded.
At the front of your field, there's Pure Racing Team Red. We're going on board with them then for a couple of moments. They got you on pit road in the next lap or so let's ride on board with Maximilian and Beneke. Let's see if he comes on towards pit road this time by. He's in. The race leader's on towards pit road. Koanda Sim Sports will go and do another lap, Randy. Talk us through the split stop for Beneke.
Well, let's see what this Pure Racing Team Red car has in mind. Max Beneke going to be pulling up his stall. 5th in line it's going to be, and let's see what they're going to do. Will they change tires? Will they change drivers here? Max gets out of the car, and that's interesting to me considering the rhythm that Max was in. Who are they cycling into that race car? It's going to be Ivo Howler. Ivo is, let's say, fantastically fast. So definitely an interesting call, though. Would you, Will, have maybe made that call to pull Max out of the car when he's in such a rhythm and has just pulled such a huge lead over the number 1 machine?
I would argue that they came up with a predetermined strategy and this was just what they wanted to do. Beneke, yes, we know he's fast, but Ivo isn't that bad himself. We've also got other drivers on pit road. You can see the Jim Racing black car is on pit road. Sebastian Dunkel behind the wheel of that car right now in the number 7 machine. Pit road beginning to become a busy place right now. Pure Racing Team Red, which we talked about, are on pit road. Evolution Racing Team they're making a stop as well. Riley Preston will stay behind the wheel of that car. You've also got Glacier Racing, Yoni Tankenham. He's going to do a second stint in that car. It's going to be interesting, actually, to talk about the team that we just talked about, because having changed the driver early, other teams might do so later on in this event. And actually for Evo, as he comes out of pit road, he might have a clearer track than other drivers would give credit to. And we say that, and he's right there in traffic. That's Corson Racing Silver just ahead of him. The last thing you ever want to have happen has happened to Pure Racing Team Red there.
Yeah, it has, but you know, the situation that they find themselves in here, Will, is the fact that they're now having to have this ability to use the toe down the straight here to try and get back into play. At the moment, unable to make that move then down to the inside, and they've also lost out then to the likes of, say, Hazer Cecilia on that different strategy, while now needs to try and make his way down the inside. Will send one deep and isn't quite able to make it happen just yet. Needs to run it around the outside now to make it happen, and it costs precious seconds here for Howler, as you see Beneke will come back into play.
Yeah, as the number 17 machine's gonna get the move done. A little bit of argy-bargy there in towards the Abbey chicane. Paul, that wasn't a pass into the Abbey chicane. You can't use that in your statistics. I'm sorry.
Yeah, certainly not the move into the chicane, that's for sure. By the way, Renz Broekman now is behind the wheel of the number 1 car, so that's a change of driver in this pit stop for VRS Quanta Sim Sport. So let's see how they do on this one. Looking further down, and well, Eva's just coming round Luffield as we speak now. VRS Quanta Sim Sport still sat there waiting, so they're not going to jump them in this pit stop this time, but certainly Renz Broekman, good driver, really good driver. He can certainly make some moves along this race.
As for Kiwanis Sim Sports, they are out and away in 1:09, so a full tyre change there for Kiwanis Sim Sports, Jay.
Not surprising yet. I think the surprising thing will come into play when they try and go in as late as they can, maybe with 50 minutes to go, with 45 minutes to go, and go for this, maybe the one tyre call or the no tyre call. I think that's where we're going to be seeing Kawanda come into play, and we do know that Renz Broekman, when he has not much tyre left, he can really get the best out to the vehicle. Now you've got a Renz Broekman with all the tyres on the car. That's an even scarier prospect.
It is indeed. It's just the head Corson Racing Silver versus PRT Red. Well, we saw that PRT Red, Power was able to get ahead. He's already pulled out. Almost a second advantage there, Randy. And I will say one thing. Changing one tyre wasn't new last year. Back in the days, a team Afterburn, we realised that you could change one tyre at Pocono and actually be faster in certain types of races. So, you know, one tyre calls, they sound crazy, but they do work.
Granted, there's a pretty big difference there between an Indy car going 200 miles an hour plus and these GT cars, but yeah, I mean, there's always been wonky
when you put it into perspective, or is it?
I'd say yeah, but I mean, there's been wonky strategies in sim racing for as long as there's been. I know a teammate of mine back when they back in the day, they did a touring car league. They actually had a front wheel drive touring car setup that killed the rear tires. I still don't understand how they managed that one, but I mean, yeah, great job by Evo to be able to pull that early gap over that silver car. That's just new rubber. We know that silver car didn't take tires, and in fact, we've been talking about the cars that did take tires, the cars like the Pure Racing Team red car, the cars like Coanda. Do we have a head count on who skipped tires at that first stop?
We'll be able to tell you in a moment's time.
Well, I'm gonna say.
Also, quick interesting point. Niles Koch and Heidfeld Core Motorsports number 33, they've not pit yet.
No, they haven't, and they are now 70 minutes into their first stint. And for Motorsports, that's a big thing for them.
It's a huge thing. Also, Thrustmaster Movano Green haven't stopped either. So, Core Motorsports onto pit road, the 33 car. And, well, let's see where they'll end up towards the end of this race. This is the long game that they're playing, doing a little bit of fuel saving throughout this race, and certainly doing a good job. I can tell you that you've got likes of Dark Contigo Racing Team, Team Red Line Green, Corsim Racing Silver. Those three did not take tyres in that pit stop, and looking further down you've got people like MSP Phoenix Racing, Pure Racing Team also didn't take tyres as well. So not that many just going for the fuel only. They're deciding to take tyres as well, so that may be the conditions here. As we're still saying, we've been saying it all race, 100 degrees track temperature, clear blue skies here at Silverstone. It's not often we get to say that, Will.
Yeah, right. Not like the 2000 British Grand Prix where it was pouring down rain. We have stolen an interview very quickly from Jim Racing. They're going to go and talk to our friends over at Mondo GT in a moment's time, but we have got Yawe Guru here from Jim Racing, and hopefully Yawe's going to be able to say a couple of words to us. Yawe, how's the race going for Jim Sim Racing right now?
Hi guys, well, the race is going really good now at the moment. We came in a good position in Monza, P8. So let's see this race if we can also get another top 10. I saw we are now on P7 if I don't see wrong. But let's see if we can get another good position here in Silverstone. Let's see what happens.
You say P7, actually what you just did, Joe took Corson Racing Silver and moved yourself up into P4. But thank you so much for talking to us. Any message you want to give a shout out to your friends, family, sponsors, etc.?
I will say just be yellow, be Jim, and let's see if we can also be close to the top 5 today.
Well, thank you very much. So that's how we go. We're going to hand them back over then to the Mondo GT guys. That's one of the good things about having a multilingual broadcast here, Jake. It means that we get to pick up drivers that wouldn't normally talk to us and get them to talk to us.
Yeah, in effect, it's nice to hear all the different teams getting represented, be it if they can speak the language, if they can't speak the language. It means that there's still an outlet for them to get across the messages that they have to do, and that sort of, you know, breaking down of the barriers is something that really will be helping everyone in the future. I have been keeping an eye out here between BRS Commando Simsport 8 and INX Racing Blue. Simon Cattell now behind the wheel of the INX Racing Blue machine. Mitchell de Jong has stayed behind the wheel, but de Jong getting a little bit held up here by Cattell, and you can see that he's just trying to find a way through, but again, he's just unable to make something happen.
This is the Mercedes versus McLaren battle that we were worried about here, Paul. Whether or not INX Racing, well, any of the McLaren teams were going to hold off Commando here today. And of course, we saw earlier on that Commando were lucky that they got themselves into a situation where they could just, you know, drive away. But actually, now it's a different story.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, they're mid-pack. You've got the number 1 car in 6th place. Oh, I said mid-pack. The number 1 car is in 6th place. The 8 car is in 9th place. The 2 VRS Commando Simsport cars. But you look at Mitchell de Jong putting the pressure on here on Simon Cattell. But that McLaren is looking very good out of that Maggots-Beckett's Chapel complex there as they head down the Hangar Straight. Really, Cattell, he's just got to just keep it cool, keep looking forward, not look in the mirrors too much. He'll have his teammates talking to him just to let him know whether their team, whether the team behind are trying to make moves. So definitely doing a good job is Cattell holding up that VRS Commando Simsport car, but you look at that Mercedes, it does look a little bit quicker overall on the lap. Yeah, it does. I just want to give a shout out very quickly then to our partners here on RaceSpot TV. First of all, to Isvan Balau for Track Cameras for Gourmets. Find out more information on the iRacing forums about how you can get track cameras for Gourmets and see the same fantastic camera angles you see here today. Our coverage is also brought to you in part by And1 Design, the official graphics partner of RaceSpot TV and ATVO. They are the driving force behind the overlay graphics that you see in front of you here this afternoon. Our coverage also brought to you in part by Joel Real Timing and also RaceSpot TV Live Timing, which you can find online right now. Just visit racespot.tv/timing. You also have the opportunity to get social with us. Just visit RaceSpot TV on Facebook. Alternatively, you can follow us at RaceSpot TV. You can use the hashtag iRacing WCS to be a part of our broadcast all race long. As it stands, Commando Simsport are involved in 2 battles. One for P number 6, while P number 5 even, one for P number 8. We go on board with Rose Brokeman, Commando Simsports.
Ren's Broken, of course, got into that car, taking over from Marcus Lenderman, Randy. And he almost got close. Paul, you go ahead.
Yeah, well, the P8 battle has been changed hands then, so Mitchell de Jong maybe making the classic Silverstone move down the inside of Stowe Corner. Beautifully done there. Not too much of a fight from Simon Cattell there, so maybe Cattell thinking of the long game, thinking of the longer race, and thinking maybe I don't want to get myself involved in an instant.
Let's have a look. Easy pass there, Randy.
Yeah, that was, I mean, as Paul said, basically textbook is what that was, but keep an eye on the second VRS, well, I'd say first VRS coin assist fight that's going on to get themselves in the top 5. They're currently trying to get around Thomas Lorenz in the Core Sim Racing Silver machine, who skipped tires, and because of that, Lorenz does have a bit of an advantage. The problem is that McLaren, even with old tires, is still able to get itself up to speed, and you see in the exit of every single corner, Ren's Broken is having to wait about an extra second and a half to get on the throttle from what he would like. He thinks he's going to have to just be an aggressive move from this BMW at some point. He harasses the mirrors into one. Not going to happen. Maybe coming up down the hangar straight.
It's a weird situation, Jake, but what you want to do is to slow on the entry into Maggot to keep the momentum into Beckett to get a better run out of Chapel to then get the draft in towards Stowe.
Yes, but the issue is it's McLaren versus BMW, and as we all know, the BMW is the slowest and McLaren is the fastest. So in terms of what has to happen here for Ren's Broekman, he has got to go against the odds to try and make this move happen. If he stays stuck behind Core Sim Racing Silver, that's a nightmare, because they've already dropped at least 2 seconds here in terms of the racing, and they have to be worried as well with the orange Hornet behind them of GT Ross SST with Alvaro Ramiro behind him. And again, you see he looks to the inside there, does Broekman, can't quite make the move. It didn't stop them down at what was going to be Brands Hatch, and you can see again all over the back here, but now it's going to be a very heavy defense now as they head towards Abbey. In fact, he's left the door wide open.
Yeah, indeed so. And now we're going to see the pass. We talk about the corner that apparently you can't pass up, Paul. That was at least 5 overtakes here today. Down at the Abbey chicane.
Overtake yet.
Yeah, it's not over yet. Through a bridge that goes side by side, and well, Ren's Broekman holds it on around the outside there. The superior grip of those newer tyres, along with the aerodynamics of that BMW, takes them past that Core Sim Racing Silver car of Thomas Lorenz. So up at the position there. Look behind them though. Nathan Shartner's getting involved in this little battle as well. The NX Racing red car. He's tagging onto the back of him now, but Ren's Broekman, he's making a breakaway. He needs to get away from Thomas Lorenz.
Are you going to take Mickey out me, old race boy, with the fact that I said you can't pass the Abbey chicane? Oh, we now had 5
I will
passes.
too.
Well, no, but the thing is, that overtake wasn't done at Abbey chicane, so you were right that time.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like, you know, generally I would say it's better to overtake through Stowe into Club than it is into Abbey, because actually Abbey, you know, it's a short run from the exit of Club in towards Abbey chicane. The only way generally you can overtake is if the driver ahead of you makes a mistake, or you got the superior speed advantage.
Well, we've seen it so many times today already, so it's obviously working for those out
It's
there
obvious
today.
that people's had issues.
Or the conditions are playing into certain drivers' favour
Yes.
as well. Let's not forget that. And people who may be looking after their tyres a little bit better are able to get that exit out of Club corner, and it is a crucial corner. It's not the easiest corner, it's slightly off camber, and if there's a crosswind through there, if there's a strong crosswind through there, it can unsettle the car as well. But now look at this Core Sim Racing Silver, they're under pressure from behind because NX Racing Red already right all over the back of them.
As we also just saw that, we're riding on board with the Glacier Racing Team car, thinking, oh, they're going to try and make a move over Pure Racing Team Yellow. They actually just got passed by Hexenberg Core Motorsports. As Core Motorsports now up into 13th place in this field. Core Sim Racing Yellow versus NX Racing Red. I'll show you that one on a replay. Randy, talk us through it.
I actually don't have it on my replay, sorry.
Okay, I'll talk you through it then. As we've got ourselves, Core Sim Racing Orange, Thomas Lorenz right now, having a look from the rear of him as they come down into Bridge Corner. And then, essentially, NX Racing Red, Jake just goes down the inside into Brooklands and says, I really would like to have this position. Do you mind if I can overtake?
Yeah, and you know what? They said yes, thank you very much. I'll go through. I'll now try and make that chase again back to VRS Coanda Simsport. Well, there wasn't really too much that Thomas Lorenz can do. It was a fantastic jink to the inside, you could say, from that iRacing red machine. And Nathan Shartner now needs to put the power down and chase down Renz Broekman here, because Broekman will be a man on the mission who's lost 8 seconds to Pure Racing Team Red. It's worth noting that they're third on track overall as things stand. They got to chase down Bonner House in red line green. They got to chase down Dark Contigo with Jesus Cecilia behind the wheel. But they are catching here, Pure Racing Team Red, and catching by a rate of about at least 7/10 of a second a lap.
Niels Kosh has just passed Lauren Heinrich in the Pure Racing team. I'll take that back. So Niels Kosh has just overtaken Lauren Heinrich in the Pure Racing team car. Going to tank and thought, wait a minute, I can get a position back here. Wasn't able to do so, but this is a really good scrap going on here, Paul, for P number 12, 13, 14 in your events.
Yeah, fantastic battle, and he's got the few little packs of cars together, all battling away. So definitely some good battles to keep an eye on in this race. I want to just draw your attention back to Sim Racing Orange, by the way, with Frederick Rasmussen now behind the wheel. It tells you how much of a bad day that Pure Racing Team Blue are having by the fact that there's only 7/10 of a second between the two.
Yeah. It's
been an absolute disaster for Pure Racing Team Blue today. They've fallen down the field in that first stint, and they just aren't able to keep with the pace of the rest of the field. This battle, Glacier Racing, Joni Saikkonen just trying. He was looking to maybe look down the outside of Woodcote. You don't see that happen. Down into Cop's Corner. You can make a move if you're brave there, but really it's single file. Hold the line. Use as much of the runoff as you can. On the exit, he's going to look to Maggots maybe. He's getting a little bit impatient here as Joni Saikkonen through the left and then the right. Another left, and then there's another right here. That's the Beckett's part of it, and then the final left-hander is Chappell onto the hanger straight, and look at how close he is. He's got the slipstream of the car in front, and Saikkonen, you can think it's a matter of time before he makes that move out to the right-hand side. He's looking. He's not quite close enough, though, Will, to make it past, but two cars, both the same make, the Ford GT, so pretty even in performance.
Yeah, the two marks, they're working very closely together on the racetrack. And here comes Saikkonen down to the inside at Club Corner, and he's going to make that pass work for him. So Moon Saikkonen now up into 13th place. Moon, Pure Racing Team Yellow, Lauren Heinrich down into the 14th position. And for some reason, he got the drive there, Paul, out of Chapel Corner. Didn't have the acceleration. I just got to think that Saikkonen's just got more downforce from that.
I don't know what's happened to Richard de Jong, by the way. He's fallen behind again in that Mercedes. I'm sure he was up higher than he is now, but he's behind the Core Sim Racing Silver car as much as the... Oh no, I'm thinking of the other VRS car. So this is the second... I'm getting confused with them, the two cars together. And well, VRS Coanda Simsport, by the way, look at this. 7th and 8th. Those old tyres on that McLaren not doing Thomas Lorenz any favours at all.
But he is still in a McLaren, and that will mean that as they exit themselves out of this sequence of corners, the Maggot, Beckett, Chapel complex, you are going to see Coanda Simsports losing ground to Core Sim Racing Silver. And that's the thing, actually, Jake. What you want to do, actually, we might take that one back, because a horrible exit there from Thomas Lorenz through the sequence of Chapel, that will allow De Jong to at least look himself down to the inside. That's the one moment he's been looking for. And let's now move Coanda Simsport up into 7th. I was going to say, what you almost want to do, just run yourself a little bit wide into Stowe, get yourself early onto the gas and try and make the move down to Club. But actually, De Jong was lucky that he was able to get the move out of Chapel, because for Thomas Lorenz, he just pushed a little bit too far wide next to Chapel to go on board for the replay.
Yeah, we do now. It's pretty much a straightforward overtake, shall we say, there on Thomas Lorenz here. And now we'll have to worry about that iRacing Blue machine looming in the mirrors as well. Something else that is becoming quite a factor here in terms of the racing is we haven't really talked about Jim here. Jim right now are only a second and a half behind Ivo Howler here. and they ran 2/10 quicker the last time by than them. So they are right in this. They've leapfrogged Coanda in terms of the racing that's going on, and also look at the times at the front of the field, because Sicilia's 1:49.4 that time by brings Bono House in within a second and a half, and now Pure Racing Team Red in within 4.5 seconds.
And it's worth noting as well, Jay, that the pit stop time will indicate that Jim took 2 tyres, not 4 and not 0.
Yes, and that might come back to hurt them a little bit later on, but it seems that the 2 tyres that they've taken hasn't really affected their performance here compared to, say, the likes of the Pure Racing Team Red machine. So the fact that they can take 2 tyres, get themselves track position, and then run lap times that are effectively quicker than Howler right now is just testament to Jim has the better strategy.
Well, we are close to
we
half.
still got an hour and a half left. You can't really say that just yet.
Yeah, you might. You never know. We are almost halfway through this motor race. Here's a look then at your top 8 right now in terms of this motor race. Falcon Tigo leads by 1.3 seconds over Team Red Line Green. Both those teams didn't take tyres in your first pit stop. Pure Racing Team Red are in 3rd. Jim Racing Black took 2 tyres there in 4th. The Koana Sim Sports on 5th. NX Racing Red, Koana Sim Sports and Core Racing Silver round out your top 8. We will step aside for a few moments here on Racesport TV and on iRacing Live. We'll be back with the second half of this motor race after these messages. You're watching Racesport TV, the Blancpain GT Series, streaming live on iRacing Live.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is Dirt Racing on iRacing.com. Race online at some of America's most legendary dirt tracks, including Eldora and Williams Grove. iRacing is the premier online racing game featuring NASCAR, IndyCar, sports cars, and now World of Outlaws, the leading sanctioning body for dirt racing. iRacing is easy to use and features a centralized ranking system to make sure you have the best experience at any skill level. With a massive inventory of high-precision laser scan tracks and cars with an unmatched dedication to quality and detail, iRacing gives you the most authentic online racing experience available. Thanks to iRacing's dynamic track system, developed specifically for dirt racing, tracks change over the course of a race, just like your favorite dirt track on a Friday or Saturday night. From a slick racing groove all the way up to the cushion, iRacing's dirt tracks deliver non-stop racing action. Partnered with the World of Outlaws, iRacing is your source for the most authentic dirt racing experience available, featuring 4 brand new tracks and 11 new cars, including street stocks, Legends cars, late models, NASCAR trucks, winged and non-winged sprint cars, with much more on the way. Join the Dirt Revolution on iRacing.com and start slinging mud today.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them for a breast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Hey guys, Christopher Bell here. As you guys know, iRacing is coming out with dirt, and it's been a long time coming. So I'm here today to kind of show you around the sprint cars and hopefully give you some insight for whenever you first drive it. So here we are at Williams Grove, gonna go out and make a couple laps in the 410 wing sprint car. I'm on default setup with a gear change to a 522. As we roll out of the pits, you guys might notice that the car wants to pull left and you have to hold the steering wheel right to go straight. That's normal for a sprint car because you have so much stagger, it's always trying to turn the car left. Once you get up to speed, that goes away. Going down the straightaways, Williams Grove has really long straightaways and really tight corners. The big wings on the sprint cars, it always wants to pull you left into the corner, so it doesn't take much steering wheel input to get the car into the corner. A big key for the wing sprint cars is that they always like to go straight. They don't like to be too sideways, so the less steering wheel input you can have and the straighter you can keep the car, the faster you'll go. As the track slickens off, you'll be able to play with the setup to get the car driving even straighter yet. And that's a couple laps around Williams Grove. So here we are at Eldora Speedway. I'm on baseline setup with a gear change to a 511. As we roll out at Eldora Speedway, one thing that you'll notice is that the corners are really sweeping and it's almost a circular shape. The big thing about Eldora is just keeping that steering wheel straight. The straighter you keep the wheel and the less steering input that you give the car, the faster you'll go. The fast line around Eldora will be right around the inside wall in the corners, and then with a big arc towards the outside walls down the straightaways. Then once the track slicks off, you'll be able to follow the groove up towards the outside wall, where the famous Eldora High Line comes into play. So now we're at Volusia Speedway Park with the 410 wing sprint car. I'm on baseline setup with a 511 gear, the same as what we ran at Eldora. Whenever you roll out on the racetrack, you'll notice that Volusia is similar to Eldora. They have long sweeping corners, and it's kind of circular in shape. At Volusia, whenever the track is fast, you'll want to be right down against the concrete wall in the corners with a nice big arc down the straightaway. Whenever the track starts to slicken up, you'll be able to follow the groove up higher and higher. Whenever you get into turns 3 and 4 though, the groove might get up onto the shelf, which is the flatter section of the racetrack, and then it becomes very difficult to exit turn 4 without getting into the wall. And that's just one of the characteristics of Volusia Speedway Park. Hope you guys have fun.
Welcome back then to the third round of the Blancpain GT Series here on Racewatch TV and on iRacing Live. Spanish commentary brought to you by Mundo GT. And your top 4 drivers all of a sudden, Paul, are in the same camera shot. They are Dark Zigo leading the way, Team Redline Green in second, Pure Racing Team in third, Jim Sim Racing in black in the 4th place. Of those, PRT are the first team with tyres.
They certainly are. They took the full set of tyres. You look at Jim Racing, we believe they only took 2 tyres, whereas the front 2 took no tyres in the pit stop. So real mixture of strategies, and look at how close it is. And also it's McLaren, Ford, McLaren. Absolutely fantastic racing here as they go through Club Corner. This is where it gets interesting, and this is where just one little mistake could have a massive effect on this whole race.
We're on board then with that driver of Ivo Hauer in the 3rd place. He's got fresher tyres. It's Ford versus Ford for P2 right now. And then you've got McLaren ahead of them. But actually, Bono House, you know, we talked about him earlier on, Randy. He's not in a bad position right now in that Team Redline Green car. He were to do a driver change. He were to take tyres maybe. But actually, not a bad job right now on the 34 machine.
No, both him and Jesus Cecilia doing a very good job right now. Both those cars on the same strategy. They took fuel. They did not take tires. No driver swap for Dark Contigo as well as Redline Green. Behind you have Ivo, who basically is just on driver swap, full fuel tires. Basically, you know, relatively simple there. And then Dunkel in the Jim Racing Black, who's either on 2 tires or took a light fill of fuel. One of those two. Not really sure what it is just yet. I'm still really interested to see over this 10 how Evo's going to come into play here. We saw in that first hour, Will, that Pure Racing Team red car, through the first 30 minutes, it was good, but it was in the last 30 minutes of the run that car turned great.
Yeah, as we just have a look at those 4 race cars as they now head themselves down in the hangar straight away towards Stoke Corner. Stoke Corner, of course, Jake, placed in 1999, a certain Michael Schumacher broke his leg.
Yeah, and of course, in that situation, that was all just because the racing was going on, and that left the situation. Big wiggle, though, coming out of the corner from Dark Contigo to the outside. Will try Bono House. He leaves the door open, but Howler can't take advantage there in the Pure Racing Team Red machine. He'll have to try and wait and set up the move again. There was a chance there for Red Line Green to get the opportunity. Huge wiggle on exit. Bigger wiggle on exit. Holds it together, but that's the lead now, and that could be second gone as well.
Yeah, as we're going to see on the outside, will come the team of PRT Red. They are going to squeeze past. Dark Contigo loses 2 places and the race lead in the space of 2 corners there, Paul.
And what did I say? One little mistake could have a huge effect on this race, and that was it. I have to say, hats off, great car controller to hold on to that car. But now the 2 Fords at the front of the field, and well, Dark Contigo coming under pressure now from Jim behind, but the 2 Fords at the front of the field. That battling's not over yet. We've still got a battle on for the race lead. Bunner House doing a fantastic job now at the front of the field. He'll be marked down as a lap lead here for Team Red Line Green, but that Pure Racing team, Ivo Howler, doing a fantastic job. Look at him all over the back of him. Absolutely nose to tail. It's fantastic.
And one of the things that might be worth talking about, we'll talk about this when this comes down a bit more with you, Andy, is how the dirty line came into play there, because Ivo Howler is right behind Bono House right now. Battle for your race lead. Bono House, of course, he made his name in other circles. He came to iRacing in 2 World Championship Series. This is actually, let's not forget, Randy, the first time Bono House has led a World Championship event.
Bono's doing great as that fight behind. Oh, it's heating up. There's a bit of contact between Jesus Cecilia and the Jim Racing Black Car. Those are 2 very aggressive teams. Traditionally, and they come into contact at the end of the hangar straightaway. Jesus Cecilia gets forced off the racetrack and spins through the grass. Let's see, he's able to merge safely and get back going, though, but that's a big incident for third. And I was going to say before that, you know who's been loving all this, Will? Renz Broekman. Because of all this fighting, he has taken 2 seconds last time around out of all 4 of these drivers, and as Howler and Bono House continue to fight, he's going to continue to take time out of both that Pure Racing Team Red car and Red Line Green. The thing that's disastrous for all these guys in the top 4, fighting this hard is going to cost them time to people who have clean air right now.
Yeah, a couple of replays set on board now with Dark Contigo Racing Team, Jesus Cecilia. I think he lost that one by himself more than anything else, to be honest, there, as the 2 teams were battling aggressively. But PRT versus Team Red Line Green, that is going on right now for your race lead. Jim Racing back in 3rd, Joanna Simsport in the 4th position. We go on board with Pure Racing Team Red, and well, Bono House is in exactly the same place he was, Jake, 1 lap ago, and Bono House seems to know how to exit Chapel well.
Yeah, he seems to at the moment. You can see he just holds the car stationary through Beckett's, now in through Chapel. You can see Howler trying to get the run, but again, Bono House gets a pretty good exit then coming out of Chapel, and again, that gap runs at about 0.2 of a second here. Howler needs to make the move here. He can't afford to be running these 48.8s when he was running 47.6s before he caught them, and again, he's stuck, and he can't quite make the move. Again, he looks again a little bit to the inside, Will, but again, the issue comes along here for Ivo Howler. Okay, getting stuck behind someone, but he needs to now really make a move. Again, he has another look, and once again, he's trying to poke a way through, but there is no holes in that defense.
None at all right now. And this is the Bono House, actually, Paul. We wanted to see a Bono House at the front of the field who can actually not only drive up to the field, but hold the position. And he's doing a sterling job right now of keeping Ivo Howler behind him. This is defensive driving. We will have to say this is defensive driving right now, but he's doing it to perfection.
He's having to do it because his tyres are a lot older as well. Let's not forget that. As they go through the complex now, heading towards the end of lap, Luffield, the long right-hander, and it's so difficult as this corner. You think that you can get on the power a lot sooner than you can, but away they go. And look at this Jim Racing Black. They've got right onto the back of these 2 as well. So it's a 3-car battle for the lead. And VRS Commander Simsport, Renz Broekman, once again was faster by, let's have a look at that, by almost half a second there over Bono House. So definitely that BMW is now going to come into that battle.
here's the fascinating situation, as Paul just alluded to. Last time by, Ren's Broken was 0.3 of a second faster than Jim Racing Black. The three previous laps put together, he's gained 2.5 seconds over your lead 3. And that is a big thing here, Paul, as we see Team Red Line Green Bono House again defending through the hangar straight in towards Stoke Corner. And again, perfect exit. No room for Pure Racing Team Red to make a move down to club.
And I tell you what, he's got that exit onto the hangar straight absolutely nailed on. The way that he's just able to position his car and get the perfect exit out of Chapel onto the hangar straight is great. And he seems to be really doing well on the exit of corners. It's not so much about having the speed going into the corner for Bono, it's more about having the speed on the exit, and that's what he seems to be doing, and that's how he's able to get away with that. But also, if he does need to as well, he can maybe just park that car a little bit on the apex, make the other car slow down more than it wants to, so it then pulls other drivers into the battle. Because if I was Bono, I'd be trying to get that Jim Racing Black car, trying to get them involved in this battle to try and then slow down Pure Racing Team even more, make them go defensive.
3 drivers separated by 1.2 seconds then in your top 3, as we are 1 hour 18 minutes away from the completion of this event. There are your top 3 then, left hand side of your screen is Pure Racing Team in second place, 5 tenths of a second behind Team Red Line Green, Jim Racing Black a further 8 tenths of a second back. And you may argue that Jim are just staying where they are for the moment in case there is pandemonium ahead of them. We're going to ride on board a PRT Red then for a couple of corners. This is Racewalk TV Fan Immersion. And down to the inside. To the race lead. Well, there we are. Let's move PRT Red into the race lead all of a sudden. And it was just like that, out of nowhere. Pure Racing Team Red, a fantastic move into Club Corner. I was thinking there, Jake, as we were looking at the onboard, do you want to give up a corner to make up a corner? Pure Racing Team Red did just that. They gave up a little bit of stow to make up the run into Club Corner, and they took the race lead away.
They did, and well, you also have to argue that Jim really did struggle there in the form of Sebastian Dunkel. He thought that it would be a much better run for Bono House coming out of the corner. House got all caught up on the old tyres, and Jim had to really get out of the throttle before trying to get back through Club Corner. By that measure then, he's now stuck behind, and look who's now on the back of this group. Hello, says Renz Broekman. He's only 6 tenths behind, and now it's a 4-car battle.
NX Racing Blue, Simon Kittel also is right behind Dark Contigo Racing's Heza Cecilia. This has got huge championship implications involved in it as well, Paul, because one of these drivers, they spend the next 10 laps, for example, fighting out of each other. They are both going to lose positions overall, but Dark Contigo versus NX Racing Blue, that is big in terms of the championship.
It certainly is big, and when you consider those two battling away, but also they've got cars behind them. Evolution Racing Team Riley Preston wanting to get involved in this one, so too Hoysfort Core Motorsports with Nils Koch as well. So we could see another 4-car battle for position once again. And well, Dark Contigo, those not taking those tyres at first pit stop, I think it's really showing its effect now. They're really struggling for grip out there, and well, the other drivers, they're able to catch up to them. As we keep on saying, you know, it's very difficult to make an overtake if you've got a very good defensive driver who's at the lead of that pack. And well, the marbles are starting to build up on the outsides of corners now, and that's why I was surprised that Pure Racing Team were able to hold it around the outside of Club Corner. Dark Contigo still holding on to that.
Oh, Coanda! Blanda and Redline Green get into an incident. Renz Broekman makes a big move after bridge, and Bono Huis gets into the back of Renz Broekman and turns him around.
Let's get ourselves a replay of that one then, shall we? On board above a house. And you can see right behind is Renz Broekman at this point in time. Down into the Abbey chicane. All is fine. Next corner is Bridge. And after that is Brooklands. And there you can see the move down to the inside. And the two cars go round. Well, one of the cars go round, sorry. That is Coanda that goes around. One more replay from my aerial coverage. And we'll show you what happened in real time here. Team Red Line Green, of course, in the 4GT. And there, well, Coanda kind of had the corner, but hadn't completed the pass. I think that's what the issue is, Randy. Because of that, they moved across the racetrack, and Bonnerhouse was like, well, where am I supposed to go?
I honestly agree with you there. I think that's just a racing incident. I don't think fault is necessarily placed on either drivers. It was a big aggressive move from Renz. Either the door was open, he took it. You know, a lot of people might say, well, Bono basically ran into the back of Renz. The fact of the matter is, Renz didn't make the apex the way he should have. Because of that, Bono really had nowhere to go. The only way he can avoid not hitting that Coanda car is to flat out ejecting out of the corner and basically driving himself through the through the grass. I have to say, if anyone's to blame there, I think it's mostly Renz.
What it does mean, however, is that Renz Broekman has gone way down in your standings to P number 6. And he's now got, well, his teammate is just let him pass. That's not his teammate even, sorry. That is a pure NX Racing Simon Cattell, who he just passed. His teammate is 2 seconds ahead of him on track. Well, Jake, Coanda don't normally get involved in these incidents. Coanda normally are the luckiest team in sim racing. The kind of luck has been broken here today.
They have, and that is an issue that is coming into play. They did have that big contact, but it's worth noting they are not out of this race. They are one of the few teams that took all tyres in that last stop. They can still make it back here, even though they're now 9 seconds off of the leaders. They can still make it back on strategy here, Will. It's not over and done with. Even at this stage, don't count out that number one. That number one machine could still take the lead here of this event in about 15-20 minutes time.
Yeah, and of course the way the strategies are working, that's the risk you got to take here, Paul. Sometimes you take tyres early in a race and you then got to try and attack drivers who are on older tyres, and that is what Coanda just did there.
Well, this is it, yeah. I mean, that Team Red Line Green car, no tyres taking that pit stop, and it's a difficult situation, is that, and you're always going to get that crossover there. We've taken that wider line that Bono was having to take into that corner, so there was always going to be a little bit of a crossover there, and really, it's a difficult one. I would say it's a race incident myself. It's unfortunately one of those things that can happen, but there you go. I don't think that every incident has to have somebody at fault. Sometimes, yeah, these things just happen. That's why they're called accidents.
Yes, and in some cases you are perfectly right there, Paul. Accidents do happen in any form of sim racing, be it Formula 1, be it IndyCar, be it NASCAR, be it here in sim racing. In the World Championship Grand Prix Series, the NASCAR Peak Entry Series, be it in the Blancpain GT Series, dare I say it, be it in Rookies Legends Racing.
Oh, that would never happen in Rookies Legends Racing. Everyone is absolutely perfect driving in that. Don't know what you're on about there, Will.
But right now, Pure Racing Team Red versus the team of Jim Racing Black. Last time by Paul, PRT Red were 2/10 of a second faster.
Certainly were, and well, they're able to just pull that little bit of a gap now out that front there. And Sebastian Dunkel, though, we believe they only took 2 tyres, Jim, so they're playing an interesting strategy there, and it's kind of working. They're up there in second place, doing a good job so far, and well, we're interested to see how they can do now, how much they can pull out, and what will happen in the final stint, because of course we're only about 10 minutes away from the hour, and we're going to be seeing cars coming into the pits, what, with about 50 minutes, 45 minutes left of this race. So that is going to be when we will see how everything pans out, because of course there are some teams that have to do the driver change yet.
Indeed so, but even taking that into account, Randy, PRT Red are now the team to beat in this event, because they did a full tyre change last time around, and they are 1.7 seconds ahead of a team that took 2 tyres.
Yeah, it is really pure racing teams' race to lose now at this point, isn't it? Because you have Jim, who, I mean, even if Jim somehow skips tires, if Pure skips tires, then they're basically just ahead. I mean, they're in the catbird seat. It's a race that they have basically been given, and if anything, hopefully they don't find a way to lose it, because I don't really see too many ways anyone else could win it. They probably could risk a no-tire call, have a big enough advantage over everyone else that even if they were way off pace, they'd still be able to make it to the end.
Don't forget, you can get social us. Use the hashtag iRacingWCS on Twitter. Follow us on RaceWhat.tv. Be our friend. We want you to do so. Also, you catch live timing and scoring over at RaceWhat.tv/timing throughout the course of this motor racing. Not only do you get timing and scoring to see what's actually happening live, but also who comes on towards pit road, who changes drivers, so on and so forth. RaceWhat.tv timing poll really does get you closer to the action.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives you all the information at your fingertips there. You can see everything that's happening. You can see who's come onto the road, when there's driver changes, how long pit stops are. Look at the last laps and see how the gaps are closing. As actually Apex, the JCL Apex Racing UK team have now made the move on Dark Contigo. So it's all going from bad to worse for Jesus Cecilia in that 94 car. But yeah, the timing screen, it's absolutely vital, and but even we use the timing apps, and some even use the RaceSpot timing screen to keep an eye on what's going on in the commentary booth as well.
An update on Coursing Racing Orange. They just moved themselves up into 21st position, moving themselves past the team of a bit of good racing with Jon Okada behind the wheel of that one. Let's actually also talk about the Apex Racing machine, because actually they are having themselves not a bad day right now. Apex Racing UK, Antoine Hegelin has got himself Dark Contigo Racing now about 1.2 seconds behind them, Randy, and they're hunting down Yoni Tankenham to get themselves into the top 10.
Yeah, it's been a good run for it, those Apex guys, haven't they? They started 17th, which actually would have been right around the point where that melee happened on the first lap. So I think they managed to slip through, and they've been able to just pick up position slowly and quietly. And really, you think about that, think about the teams that have had quiet races that have found the way up the front. You think of, you get a little bit outside your top 5. That second VRS, well, now the first in line, VRS Coenda Sinsport number 8 Mercedes, been a pretty quiet run there. They're up to 5th. NX Racing Blue, a relatively quiet race in 7th. Core, they're up to 8th. Heinfeld Core Motorsport, that is. Evolution Racing Team number 27 are in the top 10. That Glacier car is in 10th. A lot of times this quiet, slow way to go, not being in the excitement, really is the way to work your way up these big fields.
It is, as they are about 5 seconds behind the team of Glacier Racing in Tankenham, although they are, Jake, doing similar lap times right now, so we can't say that they're really gaining too much.
No, and you have to remember, Takkanen here has Riley Preston in front of him and using the toe of that McLaren to his advantage, so that's something that is coming into play. This battle for the final spot on the podium, though, as things stand, this is really intriguing, Will, because you got Redline, Inex and Coanda all together, all circulating. Bono House doing enough at the moment to hold everybody off, but of course, you remember they came in earlier than these two drivers, and Inex Racing Red now with a monster run coming out of that Luffield corner.
Yeah, that is Bono House right on board the pit. Let's give you that then. On board the drivers, RaceSpot TV. Fan immersion here on RaceSpot TV. go, side by side. Team Red Line Green coming towards pit road at the same time. Come out of Sim Sports. Mitchell de Jong, therefore, goes side by side with NX Racing Red down towards turn number 1. Cops corner, wasn't able to make the move. We're going to go on board with them actually for a moment's time, because we know that we've got ourselves Jim Racing Black and Team Red Line Green towards pit road, but we're going nowhere right now. We're going to keep an eye out on Command Sim Sports Mitchell de Jong versus NX Racing Red. Nathan is the number 10 machine. Nothing's going to happen really this time by, so we can now go towards pit road. Jim Racing Black are on the lane, Jake, and again, 3 minutes early. I worry about them.
Oh, big move from Mitchell. Big move from Mitchell. He got the spot away from NX.
Let's have a replay then. Replay time. Big move moment, and let's show it to you live on the replay. Dove down to the inside of the NX car and got the position done there, Randy.
Fantastic move by Mitchell de Jong, and that might be global rallycross experience coming in. We know in those races the drivers are incredibly aggressive. That was a late move by Mitchell, an aggressive move by Mitchell, but he saw the window. He was decisive about it. Because of that, he now is in P3, and he has his teammate just behind Nathan in P5. Renz has done a great job recovering from that spin to be able to pick up some pace here, maybe recover some points.
Jim Racing Black, however, have come out of pit road. 1 minute 7 on pit road there, Jake, and that means, hello, 4 tyres.
Yeah, it's a long 4 tyres as well, and that's going to be detrimental to where they need to be in terms of the racing. They actually find themselves behind Red Line Green overall with the strategy call that's been done. So that's a big issue for Mikko Melkala then, as he looks to try and chase down Christian Shimjak then, and that will be 4th position when all is said and done. But call that a dive from Mitchell de Jong. Don't call it a dive. Call that one a dolphin dive. That was so far back.
Did you really just do that?
I did. Christian Shimzak is in number 24 right now. And well, Paul, he did a 1 minute 1 second with a driver change. I'm not convinced they took all 4 tyres.
For which car number? So was that number 24?
Number 34.
34, sorry. I misheard you there. I do apologise. Yeah, 101.4. Maybe, well, you say that. Maybe they feel that they were good on fuel and could short fuel it just a little bit. I mean, the thing is, we've not quite reached the hour mark yet, so any short fueling now, that's going to be a little bit of a risk there towards the end of your race.
As we go on board with Maximo Cool Motorsports and Niels Kosh over NX Racing Blue, Simon Cattell, as they work themselves down into the Abbey chicane. And well, actually, I've got to say, Cool Motorsports and Niels Kosh have been really robust in this race so far today. I'm going to show you then the top 10 and moves and shakers inside the top 10. You'll notice that Cool Motorsports have moved themselves up 4 places in this event. NX Racing Blue, after starting in 2nd place, of course, are down into 5th place there, Jake.
Yeah, they are here, and they've started to drop positions, but, you know, now is the time to really make use of yourself and really make the pit stop strategy work. I also want to talk about Core Sim Racing Orange here in this situation. As they're currently in P14, Will, they retain the championship lead by finishing where they are right now. Granted, they have to come in and they have to make their stop. But this is a situation, Will, where you have to remember, they were down in P30 at the time they came in. Rasmussen has done a job here, and what a great bit of damage limitation that has been done from them right now.
Yeah, and if you have a look at the gap to the leader, the thing is, over the last stint, the last hour here, Jake, they've actually gained a second. And it's like, oh, we just gained a second. Well, actually, it means they've not lost a lot of time in the last stint, and that means that if they've not lost really that much time to the race leader, they are gaining time on the drivers in the mid-pack.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing here. They're gaining on the likes of Next Level Racing TTLR, they're gaining on Vendaval, they're gaining on Evolution Racing Team. So in terms of what has been going on there in terms of their battling, you know, they are making those inroads. They are getting themselves through the fields and making the moves that they need to do here. And it comes down to the fact here, Will, that If you can gain a second on your rivals who are leading whilst navigating your own set of traffic, then you have to say hats off to Frederick Rasmussen.
You do. You really, really do. But on board right now with Renz Brokeman, the reason why we're on board with him is because they are at that window of the pit stop. To expect if a Hauser on the pit road this time by, and actually, no, he stays out to do one more lap. He's going to be on his 31st lap of his stint right now.
Max did 36.
Are all going to do the same thing, Randy.
Yeah, everyone's going to stay out for now. Max did 36 laps, and this is one of the things that you get, even though we're at the hour, because everyone was able to go over the hour the first time through. The second round of pit stops, we're likely about 5 to 6 laps away from that right now. I mean, it's probably, well, the window is definitely open, but I think a good chunk of these teams, these drivers, they're going to want to use these older tires up for the next few laps here and just get the newer tires on the car a little bit later. That way they are just basically a little bit stronger on towards the end of the run.
Yeah, and it's an interesting strategy here because the driver that comes in early, Randy, can try and do the undercut. There'll be a newer tyres, can make 2 seconds a lap up, but then they'll struggle later on in the run, last 2-3 laps of this motor race. And the thing compared to Brands Hatch, is that you can pass it on 2 or 3 different opportunities, whereas Brands Hatch, realistically, it was very hard to pass.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And the other thing to keep in mind, the other reason I think we're not going to really see people come down, if you look, the undercut I don't really think is that viable. I'm just looking at Mitchell de Jong as a random example right now. His best lap of the race is a 47.2, and all race long, I mean, right now he's doing 47.8s, and, you know, if it's really just 6 to 7 tenths of a second, is the undercut really going to be worth it for you depending on the situation, considering the strategy calls that might get made with tires and whatnot?
And let's not forget also, yeah, you're going to have a lot fresher tyres on the car, but you're going to have a pretty much full fuel tank as well, which is going to slow you down. So the undercut really doesn't work in this scenario. You want to do the overcut. You want to go as long as possible and be able to beat your competitors going longer, keeping up that pace and going longer. Therefore, you're able to then have a shorter fuel stop at the end of the race, and also those tyres aren't having to handle as heavy a car towards the end of the race.
Yep, as we enter the last hour here of the third round of the Blancpain GT Series on RaceWhat TV. Streaming live on iRacing Live, and well, this is what happened on lap number 1 here today. We hope. Bear with us. There we are, we've got a replay now coming up. This is what happened on the first lap of this motor race. You see down at the rear end of the field, we had a lot of incidents. Big crash affecting a number of drivers. Look at this one on board then. Rebecca Racing Bank. Anaconda Lopez start this motor race. Not the start you want to have in any situation, Paul.
In any race, you do not want that to happen at the start, and unfortunately, it's happened here today.
There's a replay as they head themselves towards turn number 1. That's the thing, Jake. Actually, a lot of these drivers didn't even make it to turn number 1 here today.
And that will be disappointing for quite a few teams in the mid-pack who wanted a solid run, a solid points haul to get themselves up in the championship. Sometimes, you know, your day ends before turn number 1, or even before the start-finish line. That can be a very harrowing thought as things stand when you go through the racing. But for those drivers who did get involved in those incidents, there's not much you can do from it. You have to move on and hope that the next race will be your winner.
Pure Racing Team Red lead the way right now. Ivo Howler behind the wheel of that PRT red car. Randy, earlier on you said, is it a good idea having Ivo going 2 stints in this car? Well, he's done one of them, and he's brought out a gap over Mitchell de Jong, so much so that he doesn't even need to do the final stint if he doesn't want to.
I would probably have Evo stay in the car. I think right now, if you're Pure Racing Team Red, I think you need to cut off a little bit some sort of strategy. You know, just have Evo push through this final stint, build the gap that you can. Because right now, I mean, the weather is hot. We've seen that the tire strategy has been interesting. We've seen some teams be able to make it work. We've seen other people struggle. So if right now, if you're Evo Howler, if you're Pure Racing Team Red, the thing you're thinking of is who, if they decide to skip tires, would come out of the pit lane ahead of us. And those guys really, it's going to be both the Coanda cars, NX Red, the Heinz-Core Motorsports car, and probably Glacier. That's about the window you're looking at. So right now, if you're Pure, you're trying to figure out what kind of situation you're going to go into. Do you take 4 tires and be safe, knowing that at worst you probably come out somewhere around 5th, much more likely 2nd or 3rd at the worst? Or do you just maybe try to cut off that undercut strategy from people skipping tires and just skip tires yourselves and maintain your lead? The problem is if you get it wrong, if you skip tires, as hot as it is, if you start dropping pace, well, you might just throw away a race you had won.
Evolution Racing team, Benjamin Smith gets into the car, over the driver of Riley Preston. They fall down the field for the moment here, Randy, because they are one of the first pitters in this lead cycle of drivers.
Yeah, you're going to come, of course, if you're one of the early guys coming down pit lane, you're going to lose a bunch of spots, but that can often be a very good decision to make. Even if you come down a little bit early, depending on the situation on traffic, depending on the situation on fuel, you can oftentimes, just come down, take that early stop, sometimes gain positions if you get yourself some clear racetrack. A lot of times, we talked about the undercut a little bit. A lot of times you're not just fishing for speed with the new tires and, maybe it's the fuel load. A lot of times you're just fishing for speed with the clean air.
I think it's a difficult situation here. Howler in this situation, I'd pit him in right now, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him go out and try and hit his numbers. For a team like VRS Command Simsport 8, they have every reason to stay out, run their fuel down to the ground, and then use that extra time that they're going to have in pit road to their advantage. You could argue the fact that they'll have to fuel the car less. Howler is dragged into a situation he didn't really want to be in. The question is, will he stay out this time by? He runs himself around Luffield. The answer is, will he come in? Answer is going to be...
No, he doesn't.
No, he stays out.
Yeah, as PRC will stay out there. Let's have a look at Mitchell de Jong. Will he try and come in, knowing that traffic is going to come to him soon? No, he stays out as well. So, interestingly here in this situation, Paul, we now have your race leader having to negotiate traffic.
But also, if their team looked around at the traffic and worked out where they would come out of the pit stop and said, actually, do you know what? That traffic's going to be a lot worse to negotiate than this that we've got now. So, there's two ways of looking at it. Yeah, you may want to miss that initial traffic, but it depends on where you come out of those pits. And if you've got a few cars battling for position, it's going to be a lot more difficult to pass those than, say, some that are just, as they are in the position at the moment, just pretty sort of spread out.
As you see there, the driver of Evo Howler, who right on board of him as that traffic is coming up to him. 50 minutes remaining in this motor race, and here's your top 8 then, along the bottom of your screen right now. And Pure Racing Team Red do still lead the way by 9.2 seconds over Commander Simsport. And actually, you've got to say, Randy, PRT are now your favourites to win this motor race. And we wouldn't have said that an hour and a half ago.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. I mean, Pure has done a fantastic job in this race. They've opened some windows for themselves this run, and really, I think it's been Max Benecke thus far through this first 2 hours or so of the race that has been the driver of the team for that organization. I mean, that second half of the first hour for Max is absolutely unbelievable. And let's see what happens as Max now works himself through the final corner, see whether or not he'll be coming down onto pit lane, and this is when the mind games and the strategy calls will begin. But no, not quite yet. Ivo's going to go around another time. Let's see, Paul, what does Mitchell, what does NX, and what does VRS Crane and Simsport do?
Well, they're going to stay out. They know that that's the only way they can do it. I mean, they've only got 1 lap difference between them, and they're actually a lap later than PRT, so those guys can stay out there and keep doing what they're doing and pick and choose when they want to do it. But Pure Racing Team now, this is lap 36 of their stint, and they are coming up behind traffic, including that Sim Racing orange car, Fred Rasmussen. I don't think Fred will be in the mood to actually just pull over to the side of the course and let that leader through, will he?
Well, he's going to have to, isn't he? Because he has the blue flag rules in this series in effect. So if you're Fred Rasmussen, even though you're fighting for the championship and trying to push as hard as you can through this field, blue flag's waving, you have to get out of the way.
Oh, you do, absolutely. It's in the rules, but he's battling for position, and this is what I was on about. If you've got people that battling for position, he's pushed him round! Oh, Pure Racing Team managing to avoid that one. And that was, Sim Racing, the MSP Phoenix Racing. Good grief, Fred Rasmussen turns him around, and well, you can tell he's getting a little bit impatient, but how lucky was Pure Racing Team to be just that far enough behind that they could then go, right, we'll go left here, Randy, because that was well timed, that.
Yeah, that was well done by Evo, getting around that incident. Just great reaction from him. Talking about the incident itself, that was a bit of a weird incident, wasn't it, Jake? Because Redo Hartman, it was Frederick that got into Redo, but I'd say Redo got a little bit of oversteer at the apex, and because of that, there was just enough of a speed difference that I don't think Frederick could really have avoided tapping the back of Hartman in the MSP Phoenix 1 car.
There was a bit of confusion, you did have to say, over that instant, and well, for Frederick Rasmussen there, he's got away with one, you could argue, lost himself about 10 seconds during that incident, but he's done enough to hold himself in. Also, it's cost Pure Racing Team 1 second, 1.5 seconds overall in terms of the racing action, so in terms of that one, Howler's buffer is now a little bit less comfortable, Will.
It is indeed, and that is now going to be the situation of play as NX Racing Red are on pit road. We also have ourselves Koana Sim Sports, Rens Brokeman on pit road as well. Rens Brokeman is getting out of the car. Klaus Kivnikas is getting into that one. NX Racing Red, we've got ourselves a situation where Nathan Schortner is behind the wheel of that car right now. So 2 driver changes. We're going to have to see, though, whether there's going to be tyre changes here. And if there are tyre changes, Paul, if there's going to be 2 or 4 or 1 maybe.
Well, I mean, 1 can work. We saw Jim in their first pit stop take 2 tyres. There goes, there's your answer. NX Racing Red, 42.6 seconds. Is that 1 tyre?
Or no? They did a driver change.
It'd be 1. Actually, no, I think maybe more along the lines of 2, because it's important to remember these guys only need 48 minutes worth of fuel. I think that's going to be 2 tires and about, 3/4 of a tank of gas.
For Kalanda, however, that's a long stop by their standards.
I think that was 4.
That was 4 tires late into a motor race. That doesn't really work for me, Randy.
Well, the thing is, though, is that that Coanda car has struggled for pace later on in the runs. So, yeah, they may not pick up a bunch of spots on the tire strategy now. The problem is that, let's say they decided to skip tires and they got it wrong. Because they've been struggling for pace at the tail end of these runs, that happened to Renz in the second stint and it happened to Marcus in the first stint. That car dropped off quite a bit. If they get it wrong, they'd be out there on a heavy car on old tires, and the pace just simply wouldn't be there. And it's the safe call, I think, from Coanda. I think they realize there's not much to gain by really playing the strategy right now. I think right now, after the incident that Ren got into, just getting some good points is the best thing for them.
8 cars on towards pit road. David Williams now behind the wheel of it. Maximilian Beneke on pit road also. He will stay behind the wheel of that PRT red car. Now that would mean, in theory, Randy, they'll be a little bit quicker as they are already out and away. In fact, there is Beneke out of pit road, 31-second pit stop. That is quick by any stretch of the imagination.
That's going to be fuel only for sure. I don't even think you're going to take a tire with a pit stop time like that. But for them, I think that's well done, because basically what they've done by doing this is they cut off every single strategy imaginable that anyone could throw at them. And this is the advantage of staying out late as well when you're the leader. Not only do you get if you decide to take tires, not only do you get them slightly later on in the run and on a slightly lighter car, but you get to see what everyone else does. So if you see NX Racing Red come down and have a super quick pit stop, knowing that they're in the window that they could potentially get by you. You just come down pit road, you skip tires as well, and you say, hey, guess what? You still have a 20-some-odd second advantage or 10-second advantage you have to try to overcome.
David Williams a 51.3 second pit stop as well there, Randy. So they probably took 2 or 4 tires, but they are now down to P number 5, and they are 7 seconds behind NX Racing Red.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what David Williams is going to be able to do here. It's almost a bit of flip-flop, isn't it, from what we saw last season? We see Coanda now going with the strategy of taking tires instead of skipping them. We saw it last week at Brands Hatch, for example. They decided to take two sets of rubber instead of everyone else going with none. But it's going to be an interesting final stint here. Got Klaus Kivikas in that Vieras Koenigsegg Sport BMW. We know Klaus is bad fast. You got Brunner in the NX Racing Blue McLaren. You have David Williams in the Coanda Sport, which is interesting because that's the hotfoot that just got out of that car. You got Nathan Schartner, who's a very quick driver in the NX Racing Red car. A lot of different strategies and a lot of different pace levels up and down this grid amongst the top 10.
Yeah, here's your top 8, bottom of your screen, but it's worth noting this team needs to come towards pit road. That team needs to come towards pit road as well. So Core Motorsports and First Master Nirvana Racing need to make a pit stop. They are at the very end of a stint right now. So Core Motorsports will be on pit road this time by. Nirvana Racing Green, we expect them on pit road next time by. That will put the lead into the hands of PRT Red by 20 seconds over NX Racing Red. And Jake, we would never have imagined that at the start of this motor race.
No, we wouldn't, but it's not over and done with. I'll say this for a fact, because Racing Team Red, if they've taken the no tyres, watch out for their times, and watch at the times that the likes of, say, Dark Contigo did. They were consistently 1.2 seconds a lap slower over the period of a race. With about 20 laps left in this event, a second a lap isn't that unrealistic, and if NX Racing Red can really put a stint in, they can do well. Also, Hoyksingveld Core Motorsports are in a fantastic position here, Will. If they come in, do a similar stop to, say, what Beneke did, they could be out and away inside the top 5.
And they do another lap as well. I mean, Paul, we didn't expect them to do 37 laps in the stint of fuel here.
Well, they went longer last time round, remember? So
they did 38 last time round.
Yeah, so they've got the pace there, and the thing is, they've got to have a driver change, so they're going to be at about that 31 seconds pit stop time for Alexander Voss to get into the car, so for that final stint. So they'll be coming in possibly next time by then for them. First Master Movano, they're under pressure actually from NX Racing Red, but it is a fight for position, but to be honest, it's not much of a fight because the rest of Master Movano yet to pit as well. They went longer last time as well, and Simon Maria Marceno will stay out for another lap in that Audi. One of the few Audis actually in this field, the front of the field.
And Audi, that's one of those things, all of a sudden Audis have come to life here, Paul.
Well, I mean, you said that. I mean, we're looking at
one Audi
the top. One Audi has come to life because the rest of the top 10, there's no Audis there at all. And I'm trying to find the next Audi in that field.
There's only like 3 of them in the grid.
16th, and that's the other Thrustmaster Movano car. So, really, the Audis are pretty much outnumbered here today. And it's that longer strategy that they've run. And to be honest, I wouldn't fight too hard with that NX Racing Red car because you're not really in that battle with them.
They're not. They've got to go into a pit road, plus Master Movano Racing. But NX Racing Red are on newer tyres. In theory, they should be faster. So, you might argue there might be a pass in towards the Abbey chicane. We don't see one yet as they exit Club Corner. And actually, I would say that NX Racing Red are a little bit too far back at this stage. Yeah, they are. You're not going to be able to make the passing towards the Abbey chicane this time around. Core are, though, onto a pit road. Jake, talk us through it.
Well, they're going to have to come in and make a driver change. Niels Koch then will be that driver who will have to come out. Coming into the car, it's Alexander Voss then for the Hoyksingveld Core Motorsports 33 machine right now, needing to really make something happen for it. Where is Maximilian Beneke in comparison? Coming across the start-finish line now. So that's going to be something that we know isn't going to be a factor. The next factor then, we'll have to look further back down then and look at Nathan Schartner being completely held up here by Simone Maria Marcello, who stays out yet another lap here. So So being incredibly held up when all is said and done. Voss will need to come out soon here if they need to get themselves into the top 5 strategy. Still there, and that's not what they need to be having right now.
Yeah, it's a long pit stop for them. 40.1 seconds on the last stage of the race. Not necessarily what they're after. They're actually behind David Williams in the VOS Coanda car right now. Not by much, I would say, but knowing the fact that Coanda have fresher tyres, that is going to be a hard move there for Alexander Voss as he takes over.
Well, they took tires. Core took tires.
Yeah, but they were 10 seconds slower on that pit stop, so I'd argue they took maybe 2 tyres, not necessarily 4. Coanda, we know they're on 4 tyres, and we know that Coanda, that 1.9 second advantage over Randy, is likely one that we need to keep an eye out on, because I've got a feeling like Coanda's going to stretch on out.
Well, we're going to have something really interesting happening here because I actually disagree. I think Alexander Voss has the potential to reel David Williams in here in this 8 machine over the course of this stint. And if you look just behind Alexander Voss, you have Klaus Kivikas, who we know is on 4 tires, and he's basically the quickest car out on the racetrack right now, reeling in the gap to everybody. I think we're going to have a 3-way scrap for the top 5 here towards the end of this stint.
We've also got still Nirvana versus NX Racing Red, battle for number 2. We do expect, though, a Nirvana on pit road this time by, because they are now 38 laps into a stint, and you can't really go any further than that. So we expect Maria Macheno on towards pit road this time by, and then you've got yourself PRT, Maxima Beneke at the front of this film. We've got to give credit there to Beneke. 20 seconds over NX Racing Red, Paul. I mean, do we really think at the start of this motor race that Beneke would be leading this motor race? I honestly don't think we did.
No, I don't think any of us actually called for a pure racing team victory. When you asked us for, oh no, sorry, yep, I'll take that back, Jake. You did do that one. I will say Marceno in that Thrustmaster car did make a mistake down at Copse Corner on that last lap, which lost them that second place. And Shartner would be thankful for that because he was getting a little bit held up there, so it certainly didn't help being stuck behind. So now we'll be able to see what Shartner can do now. He's got a bit of clean air in that second place. But look at Klaus Kivikas now. He's gaining on that 4th place Core Motorsports car, and Alexander Voss will be just starting to feel a little bit of pressure shortly because Kivikas, he's on a charge and he wants that 4th place.
There is Ravana Green on pit road. Thomas Zadbo behind the wheel of that wheel machine right now. Should be out any moment now. Down to 20th place though for Ravana. That's not what they wanted after being at the front of the field for part of this model race. As it is Pure Racing Team Red then, who lead the way by almost 20 seconds over NX Racing Green. Let's ride a lap on board then with your race leader, Racebot TV, Fan Immersion. to say one thing, the gaps are close, but it's going in the favour of Beneke right now at the pole. Lap number 78, 36 1,000ths of a second. Lap number 79, 45 1,000ths of a second. Lap number 80, 4 tenths of a second. Charter is closing, but it's not enough. No, we've only got 33 minutes left in this motor race.
Yeah, it's just not getting enough time, and yeah, as you say, coming up to half an hour remaining in this one, you'd need to be gaining seconds rather than just sort of a few tenths of a second in this one. And Schartner, he's just going to be going absolutely hell for leather. He'll be trying everything he can to catch up that gap, but to be honest, Beneke, I think he's maybe just taking it, just ease off a little bit, just to you know, look after things, make sure he makes no mistakes. But you know, we've seen how quick Beneke can be, especially in that first stint that he did in the race, where it took him to the front of the field. So he's got the pace there, and Schartner, well, in iRacing Red, it did start itself in 7th place, so it's a really good position to be in here at the moment, in 2nd place. I mean, you look at this, the top 4 qualified 5th, 7th, 8th and 10th. And then you look at, then you get to the cars that qualified in your top part of the grid, you know, the 3rd and 2nd. So we said, you know, qualifying is important, but it's not the end of the world. And well, we've certainly seen that today, that qualifying pace is one thing, but having the overall race pace and strategy is what will do it for you.
And it's very interesting for me as well that with 30 minutes to go, the teams that started in front of the field are down at B number 5 and B number 6. We have got that battle going on between Class Keeping Cast and Core Money Sports. We're going to take you side by side for the final time in this broadcast. We'll be back with more after these messages.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is Dirt Racing on iRacing.com. Race online at some of America's most legendary dirt tracks, including Eldora and Williams Grove. iRacing is the premier online racing game featuring NASCAR, IndyCar, sports cars, and now World of Outlaws, the leading sanctioning body for dirt racing. iRacing is easy to use and features a centralized ranking system to make sure you have the best experience at any skill level. With a massive inventory of high-precision laser scan tracks and cars with an unmatched dedication to quality and detail, iRacing gives you the most authentic online racing experience available. Thanks to iRacing's dynamic track system, developed specifically for dirt racing, tracks change over the course of a race, just like your favorite dirt track on a Friday or Saturday night. From a slick racing groove all the way up to the cushion, iRacing's dirt tracks deliver non-stop racing action. Partnered with the World of Outlaws, iRacing is your source for the most authentic dirt racing experience available, featuring 4 brand new tracks and 11 new cars, including street stocks, legends cars, late models, NASCAR trucks, winged and non-winged sprint cars, with much more on the way. Join the Dirt Revolution on iRacing.com and start slinging mud today.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Hey guys, Christopher Bell here. As you guys know, iRacing is coming out with dirt, and it's been a long time coming. So I'm here today to kind of show you around the sprint cars and hopefully give you some insight for whenever you first drive it. So here we are at Williams Grove, gonna go out and make a couple laps in the 410 wing sprint car. I'm on default setup with a gear change to a 522. As we roll out of the pits, you guys might notice that the car wants to pull left and you have to hold the steering wheel right to go straight. That's normal for a sprint car because you have so much stagger, it's always trying to turn the car left. Once you get up to speed, that goes away. Going down the straightaways, Williams Grove has really long straightaways and really tight corners. The big wings on the sprint cars, it always wants to pull you left into the corner, so it doesn't take much steering wheel input to get the car into the corner. A big key for the wing sprint cars is that they always like to go straight. They don't like to be too sideways, so the less steering wheel input you can have and the straighter you can keep the car, the faster you'll go. As the track slickens off, you'll be able to play with the setup to get the car driving even straighter yet. And that's a couple laps around Williams Grove. So here we are at Eldora Speedway. I'm on baseline setup with a gear change to a 511. As we roll out at Eldora Speedway, one thing that you'll notice is that the corners are really sweeping and it's almost a circular shape. The big thing about Eldora is just keeping that steering wheel straight. The straighter you keep the wheel and the less steering input that you give the car, the faster you'll go. The fast line around Eldora will be right around the inside wall in the corners and then with a big arc towards the outside walls down the straightaways. Then once the track slicks off, you'll be able to follow the groove up towards the outside wall, where the famous Eldora High Line comes into play. So now we're at Volusia Speedway Park with the 410 wing sprint car. I'm on baseline setup with a 511 gear, the same as what we ran at Eldora. Whenever you roll out on the racetrack, you'll notice that Volusia is similar to Eldora. They have long sweeping corners, and it's kind of circular in shape. At Volusia, whenever the track is fast, you'll want to be right down against the concrete wall in the corners with a nice big arc down the straightaway. Whenever the track starts to slicken up, you'll be able to follow the groove up higher and higher. Whenever you get into turns 3 and 4 though, the groove might get up onto the shelf, which is the flatter section of the racetrack, and then it becomes very difficult to exit turn 4 without getting into the wall. And that's just one of the characteristics of Volusia Speedway Park. Hope you guys have fun.
Welcome back to Racesport TV. Here we just see on replay. Kvyat up into 4th place, Randy.
Yeah, very good move there by Klaus, just into the Abbey chicane. You know, the new tires for Klaus Kvyat paying in dividends. Alexander Voss not quite able to hold the speed. Down to the inside, hard on the brakes, move that Coanda car up to 4th. Good recovery drive after that incident just a bit ago.
Yeah, we have a couple of replays there on board with Coanda Simple Sports. Let's go back to live coverage. And Randy, you were talking about a couple of things off air as well, in terms of the championship there as well.
I mean, just talking about the championship point, Course Sim Racing Orange currently up to P12. They have a car just in front of them, Vendaval Sim Racing White, who I believe is on no tires. They're doing that. Vendaval car is doing 49.1s. Frederick's doing 48.5s, 48.6s, and with about 25 minutes left in this race, the gap's 5 seconds. I think Frederick is going to be able to get there, and I think when he does, I think he'll be able to make the move. For Course Sim Racing Orange, what a recovery drive this has been to be able to just come up, and I don't think they're going to quite get a top 10, but the fact that they're going to be so close to a top 10, which I think we predicted, what, a top 15 when we saw what happened? I mean, they exceeded our expectations. I have to think that for them, considering what happened, they have to come away from this race held high, with their heads held high.
They've got to come out of this race knowing the fact that it wasn't their reason why they ended up with those technical situations. They've got to also come out of the fact that they were lucky that a lot of drivers got taken out of this event early, Randy. And then they've got to come up with the fact that, well, they managed to make strategy work for them. That's one thing I said. They've got to find a way of making this work for them. And that last time by, no tyres.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, that's really the only choice they had, wasn't it? You didn't want to be a situation where you're course sim racing, where even if you took tires, if everyone behind you didn't, you'd essentially have to race your way through that field again. Granted, they wouldn't be on tires, but it just takes forever, and you likely wouldn't have enough time to get up to where you were. I love the idea a lot more of, considering Frederick Rasmussen, arguably I would say the quickest driver in this championship right now. On old tires, he's going to be as fast as or quicker than a big chunk of this field is on new rubber. Send him out on the the old tires. You know that a lot of guys are going to do a lot of crazy stuff with strategy. Send them out there, let them work through the field, maybe snag you guys the top 10.
And also, he's also in clean air, and that's the important thing now for him there, Paul. The fact that this McLaren might not be the fastest car around this racetrack, and actually the Fords seems to be the team that are the fastest around this track. But for Frederick Rasmussen, in that number 24 machine, he has been able to bring something back there and keep those championship hopes going up for Corsi Racing Orange. And let's not forget that we wrote them off at the end of that number 1. And a lot of the fans wrote them off at the end of that number 1. And they were in recovery mode. This is actually one of the better recovery drives I've seen in a while.
It certainly is. It's an impressive feat from them. Let's not forget though, Fred Rasmussen, he set the pole lap time by a good 0.2 of a second faster than everybody else. So you know, in fact 0.3 of a second, I should correct myself there. So you know, he's got the he's got the ability there, and he's got the pace in the car on the one lap, and he's certainly pushing the car to the limit, clipping the grass there on the exit of the club corner in towards Abbey Chicane now. 4 seconds is the gap to that Van Devil Sim Racing white car, and well, the lap times last time was 0.6 of a second faster. We've got 22.5 minutes left. Still time for them to catch up and to gain possibly 11th place here.
Yeah, we'll just show you there the difference between VRS Command Sim Sports number 1 with Klaus Kivikas and Heidelberg Motorsports with Alexander Voss. And actually, that seems to be losing time in the last 3 lap checks to Core Motorsports, sorry, to Command Sim Sports number 1 machine.
Yeah, they have, but you know, I don't think they can be disheartened in this situation because they're 0.4 of a second a lap quicker than NX Racing Blue behind. So even though they are losing time, they're not losing time to the cars behind them, if that makes sense. So for Alexander Voss, I think Hoytsvelko Motorsports will be happy with P number 5, going for that alternative strategy, running the tank completely dry, and then trying to make something out of a bad situation. I think P5 is a very good result for them today, even without the likes of, say, Kei Kashubi in the car.
Meanwhile, down in P number 17, let's get ourselves on board the Radicals train, because you've got yourself Manuel Sanchez versus Corsi Racing Silver. That is going on right now. P16, P17 on track, and well, you got 2 Radicals versus a Corsi Racing Silver car. And I've got a feeling that actually both these Radicals cars can get themselves past here, folks.
Well, the thing is, the core Sim Racing Silver car actually has actually gained a position on the number 97 car of the Pirates one. So they have actually changed position, but those 2 Radicals cars, all these 3 cars have in their last pit stop took tyres, that's for sure, and it was all 4 tyres. So they're all pretty much on similar length stints, although that core Sim Racing Silver car is a good 6 laps longer into their final stint here compared to the 2 Radicals cars. So Radicals maybe have a little bit fresher tyres on them, could maybe make some moves, but the BMWs we've been seeing been quite strong here. Actually, it's surprising how they've done around this track, considering the low top speed of that BMW.
Yeah, and let's go back down the field a little bit further, because every driver likes to see a Mad Cow out on track here, Jake. And well, Mad Cow Racing Bessie, they're on P number 32 right now, but we'll have a look at the lap times compared to what we've seen to Thrustmaster Movana Green, and Bessie is catching Movana.
Yeah, they are here, and well, Thrustmaster Movano, maybe Tamas Shazbo, not as quick of a driver, maybe, shall we say. They are being caught by Lucas Jedstat in that MSP Phoenix Racing 1 machine, so that's another little issue. In fact, the train continues on. Radicals Online Steel Series there with Alexander Manea, and they're all got to get Nathan Shartner through that train as well. So NX Racing Red there in 2nd position will need to make their way through, will need to make his way through that sort of train that's going on. And whilst all that goes on, the likes of David Williams and Klaus Kvekas, they will both close down that gap here, whilst he will get caught up. There's 4 cars to get through, and for Nathan Shartner, you know, at one stage, he will have to try and get past Bessie.
He will do, indeed. Now, you can see, is the battle behind Bessie right now. LSP Phoenix Racing in P number 33, Pure Racing Team Yellow in P number 34. It is worth noting here, Randy, that of the drivers, we had 10 drivers out in lap number 1. 5 of them have come back onto track. The drivers that are out today, they are Axel Cool Money Sports, Vortex Sim Racing Blue, Blancpain Sports number 18, Crossmaster Nevada Yellow, Vortex Sim Racing Green. The other teams have gotten themselves back out onto track.
Yeah, I mean, good on them for trying to recover and trying to get any points. I mean, thinking about that NX Racing Yellow Machine involved in that incident, they scored 9 laps down. ODOX 9 laps down. iRacing Brazil team 10 laps down. GTROs 14 laps down. ODOX 18 laps down. There's a half dozen, 10 or so cars almost that are out there that are essentially, pretty much near crippled, well, basically crippled in terms of speed. Definitely. Not ideal for them, but good on them for trying to get some points over everyone else.
Meanwhile, we've got a battle starting slowly to develop here. Will be 11 on track, and this is between Vendeveld Sim Racing White and Core Sim Racing Orange. Frederick Rasmussen, of course, that driver, Jake, that we talked about from starting from the route of the field after technical issues, working himself back for the field. His last laps, he has been faster than the driver ahead of Vendeveld Sim Racing White, to the extent of 1-2 seconds almost over the last 3 laps.
Rasmussen's not the problem. It's Andrew Carr behind of the Evolution Racing team. 0.3 of a second lap quicker than Frederick Rasmussen a lap. So that's the big difference maker in terms of this battle. 11th, 12th and 13th here, Will, because Evolution Racing team are not out of this fight and are right on the back of Core Sim Racing Orange. They will have to defend now their position to hold on to 12th, but they will have to get past Kaikkonen, and well, will they let them eat cake? That's a different question.
And part of that comes down to the fact there, Paul, that Evolution Racing team took all 4 tyres in the last pit stop, and Core Sim Racing Orange, quite simply, didn't.
Yeah, and that's it. Fresh tyres, it's what's needed right now, and it's showing its effect here. And Frederick Rasmussen, we've been seeing how quick he is, but Andrew Carl was 0.2 of a second faster on that last lap, and he's now right up onto the back of that car. So Core Sim Racing Orange, it is a good recovery drive from them. They're doing everything that they can, but here comes Andrew Carl now onto the hanger straight. He's weaving about, ducking about a little bit behind Fred Rasmussen, maybe trying to put him off a little bit, but yeah, 2 tyres, we were getting the word there, so 2 tyres for Andrew Carl and the Evolution Racing team. We saw Jim do that early in the first pit stop, so obviously they saw what happened there and thought, we'll have a bit of that and get some fresher tyres here. As we've been saying, look, this track temperature, it is a bit of a killer for tyres, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and allow with a lot of rubber down on track and a lot of dirt offline as well, especially when you're going through the complex at the end of the lap. It's all important to keep out of those bits of track just to keep those tyres in tip-top condition.
Well, Paul, let's expand upon that a little bit, because it makes it more difficult now to get the run through Beckett into Chapel. It also makes it more difficult now with 2.5 hours worth of rubber and dirt to get yourself through, for example, Club Corner that runs down to that corner that you love so much, the Abbey Chicane.
But this is it, you've got the rubber off track now. I mean, you can see it on the exit of Luffield there as well. So it's definitely it's going to make overtaking a little bit more difficult, and it's making it more of like a tram line really for these drivers through certain corners. And Randy, I'll bring you in here. It really is. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult to make that overtaking manoeuvre, but you would think Evolution Racing team with those 2 fresher tyres just able to push on and get that move done.
It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, they definitely have some speed, but Frederick isn't just, falling over and, playing dead. He's running the same, very similar lap times to Andrew Call in that Evolution Racing Team number 28 machine. So I don't think this is quite as over and done with as I think some might suspect. I don't think it's going to be a clear and easy victory for that Evolution Racing team car. I think that Core Motorsports car and Frederick Rasmussen, given their situation in the points, given the situation in this race, I think he's going to defend hard for this spot. Now, he's not going to want to defend too hard to the point where an incident could be caused and he could possibly lose even more spots. But I think we're going to see Frederick fight really hard for this 11th spot when they get to Santeri Kekkonen.
Yeah, well, this is it. They're both catching that car in front, that Van Devil Sim Racing white car. And Jake, when you've got that car behind you, Jake, it's really going to be difficult to attack the car in front but also defend the car behind.
It's a very difficult skill to get yourself into, and when you do have to try and work around, say, battling when they have a car behind, you have to make sure that you make the move 100% accurate. Otherwise, you leave the door wide open for, say, Andrew Carr to come back down the inside. Remember, Evolution Racing Team 28, they still need points results here. They're still in that championship fight in position number 5. They'll still be losing points at the end of the day unless they make this move past Core Sim Racing Orange. So in terms of their championship battle, it kind of keep them in the back burner, but Andrew Carl needs points as much as anybody else does, as much as Core Sim Racing Orange does, Will.
Indeed so. As we have a look on board again with Andrew Carl then, with 12.5 minutes to go in this motor race. By the time he drives, heading himself down to the exit of the hangar straightaway in towards Stowe Corner, and you can see the different lap times there. Carl caught up, lost some time, gained some time again. There was a lunge, but that wasn't really a lunge at all there by Andrew Carl over Frederick Rasmussen. But these three drivers, they need to sort it out. You can see the Evolution Racing car starting to get aggressive, Randy, over that Core Sim Racing Orange machine, because he knows that he needs to get past to get himself maybe a P11 and those points.
I think what Andrew needs to try to do is to get past before Frederick gets to Santeri Kekkonen, because I think Frederick's going to make quick work of that Vendaval Sim Racing white car. And really, if you're Andrew Call, the one thing you don't want to happen is to have Frederick slip by and be able to use that BMW in such a way to build a bit of a buffer and then be able to keep himself into that 11 spot and be able to push on from there and just essentially build a gap. So if I'm Andrew Call, I need to peak my aggressiveness right now.
Don't forget that Mundo GT's been providing coverage in Spanish of this third round of the Blancpain GT Series. Let's listen in to them for a minute here on Racewatch TV.
Y esa va a ser la última posición que va a poder conseguir Rasmussen. Al final, después de todo, van a acabar 1/10 si hace el adelantamiento, cosa que parece bastante factible viendo que Vendaval va con un BMW, y una 1/10 posición que salva los muebles, pero de una manera impresionante para Cora.
Sí, sin duda, salir de como salieron, pues prácticamente salieron de boxes y posición número 48 y verte que pues terminan la carrera en posición 11. Estamos hablando de 37 posiciones, si no he contado mal, 37 posiciones remontadas. Es para estar.
They've been talking about the battle going on for your third place in class as well. That's something we can't really ignore right now, because David Williams is catching up to second place in X Racing Red right now, Randy. Apologies for that. Second place, Randy, in X Racing Red is being caught up by David Williams.
David has been lapping at about 0.3 per lap quicker every single time around the racetrack. Trouble for him, though, is going to be only about 10 minutes left in this race next time Max Benecke, comes around not going to be a lot of laps left here in this race. That's only going to be about 7 to 8 laps. I think he might just be able to get near that NX Racing car of Nathan Schartner, but the question is he going to be able to make the move? Important to also note there's 2 lap cars in the way. You have James Pettigrew behind the wheel of Bessie and Alexander Manea behind the Radicals Online Steel Series number 17. I think that David will have the pace to get there. I'm not sure if he'll be able to get by.
Oh, here we go.
You mean that he might need to move past the Bessie machine there, Randy?
Speaking of moving over, Frederick Rasmussen gets by Santeri Kekkonen in the Vendeval car, and exactly what I said Andrew Call wouldn't want to happen just happened, and now Frederick Rasmussen has a buffer through the Magus Beckus Chapel complex.
Yep, so let's get ourselves a replay of that one if we can. Andrew Call, there we can see him. Let's replay that camera back about 30 seconds and show you what happened in that situation. Randy took us through it.
Well, I'm busy watching what's happening right now, sorry to say, but Santeri Kekkonen and Andrew Call, Santeri went all the way to driver's right down the hangar straight, I think, to try to let Andrew go. And I think Andrew wasn't expecting that. He went to driver's right because of that. That cost Andrew a good chunk of time, gave Frederick Rasmussen a few extra tenths of a second he normally wouldn't have had. Andrew's able to close up with the new tires on the brakes into club, but still that gap is a little bit larger than Call and that Evolution Racing team would have liked to seen in terms of getting around that Vendeval car. They're only going to have a handful of laps left when they get to the stripe.
Vendeval gonna race and roll right now. And you can see there the situation. Evolution Racing team does make their way past one driver and then towards Club. Have a look from above, you can see the situation here. It's okay in the end. But we still got ourselves a situation. Koana Simsports, Gus Kivikas right now, runs himself in 4th place. He's got himself a 1.7 second advantage over his teammate, and Kivikas is catching the number 8 machine right now all of a sudden, Randy.
Yeah, he is. I mean, Kivikas is on the new tires, and we know that BMW have been quicker than that Mercedes all day. So, I mean, we might see ourselves a 3-car scrap here towards the end of the race, but it's going to be interesting to see with the traffic, with the few guys who are, these guys are going to be fighting hard for points. NX Red Card needs a lot of points. I mean, all these guys are desperate for points. You got the 8 machine, I think, is in it for the championship as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here towards the end of this stint in this battle for 2nd place.
But the thing is, though, Jake, is that, yes, Commander has gained time over NX Racing Red, but last time by, it was 4/100ths of a second. That is nowhere near close enough, and there's a lot of traffic right now between Koana Simsports and NX Racing Red.
There is, and the problem was that David Williams hit traffic on that last lap, and again he gets stuck there behind Michael J. Johnson in the Gale Force Sim Racing machine. And of course we'll now need to try and find a way around. For Nathan Schartner, he's now clear. He now doesn't have traffic for another good 3-4 laps then in terms of the racing. So now again David Williams has held up that gap we were looking at was about 3 seconds, and you look at it now, 1:48.5 gets around. Compare that to the 1:48.6. Again, it's only 1/10 of a second, Will.
With only 4 laps remaining in this run race, you've now got to say that between there, between David Williams and NX Racing Red, Williams has got to do basically 3 qualifying laps, Jake.
Yeah, he has to do qualifying laps now. There's no other alternative. He now needs to be looking at 47s here, which is an incredibly difficult task to close down Nathan Schartner. And Schartner, whenever he wants to, he can turn on the afterburners when he wants. It might be the case of the Prost Senna syndrome here, Will, that we always talk about in Monaco, where it's put the pressure on, even if you know you are not going to catch the man, and hope that something happens. He can't afford to give up in this situation.
He can't indeed. With 5 minutes left for this broadcast to go, let's take you to commercial then. Here on... We're joking. As you can see, that the battle going on between Glacier Racing, BES1, Joni Hagner, well, he's been trying to catch up over NX Racing Blue, Tristan Brunner, but Paul, realistically, he's not going to get there in time because he's only gaining 10ths of a second, but realistically, he needs to be gaining multiples of a second.
and he's got Jim Racing behind as well, who are keeping pace with them. So one little mistake and that could really give Jim a good position. Team led red line green as well, not that far behind there either. So those three cars covered by about 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds from there. And well, those guys, they're all battling out for the lower positions in your top 10, 7th through 9th. And yeah, that's certainly one to keep an eye on, just to see how that one finishes. Fredrik Rasmussen still able to hold on to that 11th place as well, so doing a fantastic job in that Core Sim Racing orange car. Great recovery drive from them.
Andrew Cole versus Core Sim Racing orange Fredrik Rasmussen. Well, Andrew Cole actually recently, Jake, has been catching up to Core Sim Racing orange and Fredrik Rasmussen. The reason why is, well, you can argue tyres for Evolution Racing team, but they've not been able to find a way past. And this is McLaren. So these two teams have got the same horsepower, the same same traction, same drag, same downforce from their car.
Arguably yes, but the issue is now for Rasmussen, he's now thinking a different game here compared to Andrew Carl. Carl will be desperately trying to make that move. You look at Fredrik Rasmussen, he will be definitely trying to hold back and stave on the onslaught here. They won't have to worry about any cars behind, they won't have to worry about any cars in front. The issue will be for Rasmussen that he just has to hold on. He knows he can't make any more positions by his own driving. He now just has to secure what he has right now. You can see instantly to the left-hand side to break the draft.
Indeed, so the reason why we're not showing you P2, 3 and 4 right now, really, Paul, because there's no real battles going on P2, 3 and 4 right now. With 4 minutes of this race to go, we don't expect there to be any position changes.
Yeah, 4 minutes remaining, and well, three and a bit, 3 and change here. But well, there's about 4.5 seconds between them, so really, not that much going on between those guys battling it out for those positions. Looking further back, Jim still within a second, not really able to gain much, but it's that battle with Fredrik Rasmussen and Andrew Carl still ongoing here, and Fredrik Rasmussen now giving a really good demonstration of defensive driving here.
He is indeed. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, coming up in just 1 hour here on RaceWhat TV, you have the opportunity to see the first round of the Nordic Challenge here on RaceWhat TV between the teams of Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark and Iceland. They're going to go over 4 races and they're going to try and find a way of determining who is the best out of the Nordic racers. And Paul, that is going to be absolutely fantastic to watch.
Certainly is, and we've seen how those drivers can be in previous seasons as well, so really good to see how that one goes on. But still, this battle on track is still ongoing. We've still got the chance here, but yeah, make sure you check that out in 1 hour's time. The Nordic Cup should be sensational racing.
Catch the best racing in the month of May only on RaceWhat TV and on iRacing Live. Of course, 3 Indy 500s coming to you. The first one tomorrow night, the Apex Infotech Indy Elite Series at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, we've got ourselves P7, P8, Juni Hagner versus Mikko Mikilia going on right now. We've also got ourselves still a close battle, Evolution Racing Team, Andrew Carl versus Fredrik Rasmussen. Jake, that's still going on for P number 11.
Yeah, it is, and it's a fantastic battle. I believe the white flag is out, and Carl looks down to the inside. Oh, they touch, and well, it's enough for Carl to hold on to it, but Rasmussen survives another little bit of an incident there, Will.
Yeah, it's time for a replay then. Let's show you what happened from our aerial coverage brought to you by And One Design down into the Abbey chicane. And let's get ourselves a look at this one then. The two are very close together. As they came down into Abbey, the Evolution Racing Team car looked down to the inside of the core car, wasn't able to do anything, Jake, touched the car alongside him. They stay where they are, and I don't think there's much damage between those two cars.
There wasn't much damage at all, and they keep themselves going, but it means that the battle is over. But in terms of the race, that one's very almost over here, Will, because you can see Maximilian Benecke heads towards Priory.
Indeed so. So there is Benecke. He's always done this motor race for him. Just about 3 corners ago. You can see the dirty line on the outside there, and just how important it's been to get track position here today. But in the first 3 rounds of the Blancpain GT Series, we've seen 3 different winners. Maximilian Benecke, Pure Racing Team Red, will take themselves now to the top of the standings here today. Benecke, Pure Racing Team, will win out here at Silverstone. Second place will go home to iRacing Red in a Mercedes. Yes, they're being hounded from behind by a Radicals machine, but it doesn't matter this late in the race because we've seen already the checkered flag has been flown. iRacing Red, Nathan Scheffler there coming home in the 2nd position, and Coanda Sim Sports, David Williams in 3rd, Coanda Sim Sports, Klaus Kivikas in 4th place, and 5th place will go to Alexander Voss in Heuxenfeld Core Motorsports. And what we have to say here, really, Paul, is this race is very different to what we saw in terms of qualifying.
Certainly is. I mean, technical problems didn't help us with that one, but to be honest, the pace that Maximilian Benecke showed today, and also his teammate, the pace that they showed really showed that they had that race pace and they had the opportunity to be able to get that victory. And to be honest, they've been the class of the field, and yeah, well deserved in that victory.
Yeah, and Jay, you know, I'm going to call it still a surprising victory here by Benecke, because we didn't expect the 4 GTs to win. Actually, the second we saw Marcus Lederman being able to take over pole position here, we thought that Coanda were going to win. They came home in P4.
Yeah, they did here, and, you know, Coanda, you could argue, maybe they lost 3-4 seconds in this race over where they could have been. Maybe that would have influenced their decision on strategy, but in the end, it doesn't matter because they finish off the podium, get beaten by a different car of their own team, and crucially enough, it costs them points in the championship to Core Sim Racing Orange, who will now retain the lead, not by much, but by enough. They also lose points to iNEX Red as well, but for Pure Racing Team Red, that is a victory that they desperately needed for their championship, and they need 2 or 3 more to get themselves back into the championship fight.
That's running yourself then through your final race results here today. Pure Racing Team Red win by 22 and almost 23 seconds over iNEX Racing Red here today, as it's been a fantastic day really for the 4 GTs, because they got a team in P number 1, P7 and P9, and no one would have thought that at the start of this campaign. No one would have thought that, especially 1 year ago. Behind them you got yourself iNEX Racing Red, as we just talked about, in a Mercedes. Mercedes are P number 2 and P number 3 here today. Coanda Sim Sports number 8 finishes ahead of the BMW. Williams ahead of Kivikas. P number 5, another Merc. That's Alexander Voss. Then P number 6 is iNEX Racing Blue. The first McLaren, let's not forget, McLaren started 1, 2 and 4 in this race today. Glacier Racing Jamie Hagner finishes in the 7th position. Ironically, we didn't really talk about the Glacier Racing team, but they started inside your top 10, they finished inside your top 10. Jim Racing Black then in P number 8, Team Redline Green in 9th, and Evolution Racing Team rounding out your top 10. There's the remainder of the results and just cycling through on your screen right now. Core Sim Racing Orange, they got 11th place after technical issues at the start of this motor race, meaning they started almost half a lap down from your field. Evolution Racing Team in 12th, Vendaval Sim Racing White in 13th, Frost Master Movano Racing Red in 14th place, and then JCL Apex Racing UK in the 15th place. There's the remainder of the results circling through. We'll step aside for a brief moment here on Racesport TV and on iRacing Live. When we come back, it's time for interviews here on the world's greatest sim racing broadcaster, that is RaceWhat TV, streaming live on iRacing Live.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is Dirt Racing on iRacing.com. Race online at some of America's most legendary dirt tracks, including Eldora and Williams Grove. iRacing is the premier online racing game featuring NASCAR, IndyCar, sports cars, and now World of Outlaws, the leading sanctioning body for dirt racing. iRacing is easy to use and features a centralized ranking system to make sure you have the best experience at any skill level. With a massive inventory of high-precision laser scan tracks and cars with an unmatched dedication to quality and detail, iRacing gives you the most authentic online racing experience available. Thanks to iRacing's dynamic track system, developed specifically for dirt racing, tracks change over the course of a race, just like your favorite dirt track on a Friday or Saturday night. From a slick racing groove all the way up to the cushion, iRacing's dirt tracks deliver non-stop racing action. Partnered with the World of Outlaws, iRacing is your source for the most authentic dirt racing experience available, featuring 4 brand new tracks and 11 new cars, including street stocks, Legends cars, late models, NASCAR trucks, winged and non-winged sprint cars, with much more on the way. Join the Dirt Revolution on iRacing.com and start slinging mud today.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to RaceWhat TV for our post-race coverage. And well, really, when we talk about post-race coverage, Randy, we've got to talk about the start before anything else.
Yeah, I mean, the big talking points of the race began really before the race ever really started. You had, of course, the pole sitter having technical issues, basically dropping to the back of the field, and, you know, that was like, oh, wow, they might be fighting for a top 25, top 30, and then they sort of get gifted in a cruel irony, you know, 10 to 15 cars getting into a massive incident on lap 1. It was an insane, like, end of the pace lap into first lap start of the race.
There was. Here's a replay one more time then. For those of you wanting to know what happened at the start of this motor race, and I will say it wasn't that pretty. We'll tell you that one. As the drivers head themselves in towards turn number 1. Well, things happen. very quickly. And you can see as your Harvey field comes through, pandemonium behind them. And Jake, that really did help Core Sim Racing keep the lead, we think, on the championship.
Yeah, we do think here, because we had a massive accident between 10 to 15 vehicles, and without that, maybe they'd still be back in P20, and that gap may be just 1 point. They may have even relinquished the championship lead overall. That's the crucial factor that comes into it. A little bit of lady luck has shone today on Core Sim Racing, even though that they had themselves the issues that they had today with a bit of misfortune, you could say as well. So, you know, iRacing gods giveth, iRacing gods taketh away. You know, sometimes, you know, it's the best of both worlds here for Core Sim Racing, the best they could have possibly done today.
Yeah, there's another look at the start incident here, and what was a crazy start. And well, Paul, from there we ended up in a situation where we thought it was going to be kind of this race. Maximum Beneke, 4GT, taking victory, ironically, in a race where in WC they've been struggling here today.
And this is it, you know, not a lot of people would have said that the Ford GT would have been the ones to win, but, well, you look at that, absolutely fantastic run from then, and it just showed that second half of that first stint of the race really gave us an idea as to what true pace there was in that Ford GT and how well it looks after its tyres, and, well, it showed off quite convincingly there, really, that they were able to just push on and then push on further and get that lead and never look back.
Well, let's get a word then with Pure Racing Team Red. Maximum Beneke, congratulations on your race victory and a welcome to Racesport TV, Blancpain GT Series, Victory Lane. Did you ever think when you qualified 5th this was going to be your race?
Yeah, first of all, thanks very much, and warm welcome to everybody here. Qualifying, so first of all, of course, also congratulations to the others finished on the podium, Inex and Kwanda. So first of all, quality was really great. I had a decent pace, and I was very close to my optimum pace, so nothing to say about that. And of course, starting in 5th place is always a good position for getting to the race lead in time. But well, you know, races are 3 hours long, so we need to look out for what we can do. And yeah, then Core Sim Racing had bad luck with the disconnect of Fredrik Rasmussen, so we were sitting in 3rd position in the start, which was really good because we were able to keep up that 2nd position then behind Coanda. And after that, well, it was just a matter of time because we knew that our car would be better in the end. And so we just had to play out our pace, and in the end it was just such a great result for us, and I'm so happy for the whole team. Ivo did a huge job the whole week, and I'm just glad to be here now.
Talk about team effort there, and how important is it to have that team effort in a series as tight and competitive as this?
Well, it's what shall I say? I mean, to have 2 drivers or 3 drivers in a team who can compete at the same level is the most important thing you need to have in this series, because, you know, all those drivers out there, I mean, they are the best in the world, and if you want to compete against them, then you just have to be on the same level with your teammate, and that's what happened this week, and I'm very glad that this happened today. So yeah, it's the most important thing to just have a teammate and to have faith that it will work out even when he's in the car or the other way around.
Now, next time we see you, you'll be part of the greatest weekend in racing. Memorial Day weekend, the 4th round of the championship, Zolder for 90 minutes. Of course, a 90-minute race means things are a lot different to what you normally see here in the Blancpain GT series, but also Zolder is a very different track to what we've seen here. Very stop and start in many ways. Do you think you can go back to back?
Well, Zolder is a complete different thing. I mean, Silverstone now was about having fast corners and slow corners at the same time, and Zolder is probably one of the hardest tracks on iRacing, because you just have to be so patient with all those chicanes and curbs. Especially with our Ford, it's pretty hard there, but you need to manage to have a good setup for the race. So it will be definitely a different race for us. I think we won't catch up maybe in the top 3 or top 5 in the quali, but let's see. It's so important on the driver who starts in qualification, because I mean, just 90 minutes, it will be so intense, and there are basically no ways where you can just overtake another car. So it will be so important to have the pace of the quali, and I mean, cards are dealt out again, but let's see. I hope that we can, do something great again, but the chances are a little bit smaller this time, I think.
Well, you do win here today. Who do you want to give a shout out to? Your team, your sponsors, your friends, family, pets, etc.
Yeah, first of all, thanks to the whole team. I mean, we now waited for this about 2 years, and it was so great effort for us, all of us. They all do a great job helping everybody, each other, to find good setups, to just set up the car. And of course, a big shout out to our sponsors iRacing and Autohaus Wollmeyer. Nothing to say more.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us there. Beneke wins here today. Pure Racing team, and well, you got to say, Jake, really, they had a fantastic event, and actually, they probably did benefit a little bit from the fact that technical issues did help took away the race from Core.
Arguably yes, and yet again arguably no, because what was to say in that situation is that we don't know what would have happened during that race, whether Core Sim Racing would have been involved in incidents. We saw a lot of drivers up towards the top getting involved with an incident or two there today, and you even talk about PRT Red getting very lucky with an incident with Pure as well during that scenario, during that moment. So you can argue, Will, that maybe yes, they did get lucky, but by hindsight maybe they didn't as well.
So as you can see, Beneke comes home in first place. Well, second place in the standings here today, Paul, goes to Inex Racing Red. They're going to join us here next in the broadcast booth. And well, Inex, they had a good darn race here today.
They certainly did, and speaking to us now is Nathan Shartner. Nathan, talk us through your race. You qualified in 7th place, ended up in that 2nd place, just not able to quite keep up with the pace of Pure Racing Team Red.
Yeah, the race was epic. Yanni put in just a mega Q lap. It was pretty much the maximum you could get out of it, and then he jumped 4 spots in turn 1. And then from then on, it was just managing the race.
Well, we'll touch on that. The race, we saw hot conditions out there on the track, temperatures of 38 degrees centigrade, 100 degrees Fahrenheit. How was that affecting the car in terms of the tyres? We saw some teams taking 2 tyres at pit stops where normally would maybe see them missing out on taking tyres. How was it affecting the car, those conditions?
Yeah, it was real slippery. We did, like an alternate strat, and it was really slippery at the end of the race. I was yelling quite a bit on teammates telling them we made a mistake and it was not going to end well, but it ended up working out really good. So P2 is excellent.
And that's it, finishing 1.2 seconds ahead of David Williams in that VRS Quanda Sim Spot Mercedes as well. Must be delighted with such a good result for the team today, and it all seemed to work out for you.
Yeah, it was great. I don't think it could have gone any better for us. PRT had amazing pace. I don't think they took any tires at all in the last stint, and they were still pulling away. So really, really happy with P2. Congrats to PRT and Coanda. Coanda had an amazing race too. And thanks to our sponsors, iAnalyze, who sponsors the red car, and SimLab and V Racing sponsoring the team.
Oh, well, you saved me my final question, which was anyone you want to thank. But, well, Nathan, congratulations, 2nd place. Must be really looking forward to the rest of the season now.
Yeah, I think we're in a really strong spot in the championship with Core having the connection issues at the start. That kind of opened things up a little bit. So I think we're in a really good have a really good chance at it. So we'll just keep on putting in all the hours and testing and practicing, and hopefully we can keep up the results.
Well, Nathan, thank you very much for joining us. That's Nathan Shatner from Inex Racing Red, finishing today's race in position number 2. Will.
Indeed so, as behind them you had yourself the Koanda Sim Sports, the first of their 2 cars coming home in P number 3. We're going to bring in Mitchell de Jong from Koanda Sim Sports and also David Williams, and they're stood by with Jake Sperry.
Mitchell, David, you know, you got yourself into number 3 today. Started off the day down in 8th position overall for car number 8. Mitchell, we'll go to you first. You could argue it is a difficult opening stint here where you had the field break up behind you, so you didn't have too much to worry behind. But the opening stints, the pace was up there. It was electric. It was all about strategy today and not necessarily those big overtakes.
Yeah, I think it was going to be an interesting race for us. We had a pretty decent quality. Probably could just get a little bit more out of the car, but not much. So starting back there, kind of anticipated setting the car up a bit better for the long run rather than the short run, and you know, tried to bide our time and try to make our way through where we could. And yeah, it was an interesting race. We hit up a few spots and I think got in good position throughout the race, but yeah, a little different, or a little wrong strategy, I'd say, towards the end, and I think that cost us a P2.
Maybe it did, but of course we do need to talk about that big move that you had down into Stowe Corner. I believe that a bit of rallycross experience came into that. You came from a long way back to make it happen.
Yeah, you know, I've learned from the best of David. He's the Dave bomber, so I've you know, watched him a lot, and it's really tricky to pass here, especially, you know, on the same car or things like that. McLarens are also really fast in a straight line, so you kind of had to make things happen, and yeah, I'm glad it worked out.
Certainly did. And well, David, you took over from Mitchell and tried to bring the car home, and for you, the case was going to be, could you catch Nathan Shatner when all was said and done? How was traffic to deal with in the final stages of the event? Because it seemed you had to negotiate with quite a bit in the final few minutes.
Yeah, I guess we probably underestimated just how difficult the traffic was going to be. We went with a conservative strategy and kind of required me to sort of catch up and put some good times in. But yeah, it was very difficult to sort of find a rhythm, and then towards the end, when it was kind of critical, I was, you know, unable to get past when I really needed to. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but there we go.
It is, and well, you actually take points away from your teammates in the championship battle. Of course, your team yourself wanting to get into that. So, you know, for the number 8 machine, was this the result that needs to catapult you into this championship fight here, David, or was this the result that keeps you in and around your rivals that you were fighting with previously?
Well, I think, you know, obviously we need to think about Core. They've been extremely unlucky today. That really throws the championship wide open. So, yeah, we would have really liked to have got a P2. That would have been big for us. But, yeah, it's definitely all still to play for.
Certainly is. And well, before we let the pair of you go, for both of you, is there any shout outs that you'd like to give out then for your 3rd place here today?
Yeah, sure. Thanks to our sponsors, Virtual Racing School, of course, SimQuip, Andwern Design, Joel Real Timing, and of course you guys, RaceSpot. And also thanks a lot to Mitchell for the awesome job and the preparation today. Well, in the run-up to today.
Certainly was there good preparation when all was said and done. David Williams then and Mitchell de Jong for the VRS Koanda Simsport number 8 machine. Will, who you stood by with next then?
Oh, we've got many more people to talk to, and that will start with the team 1 place behind. And guess what? That is more Koanda Simsports drivers. That will be Rens Broekman and Klaus Kivikas. And well, Klaus and Rens, I'm going to come to you first, Klaus. P number 4, are you happy with that?
Well, not really. I mean, we were leading throughout most of the first stint, and then we end up P4, so obviously we can't be too happy with that. I guess for the championship, it's fine.
Well, honest answer, why did he fall down from P number 1 to P number 4?
Well, I mean, Pure was just totally dominant in this race, and we never had any chance against them. And obviously, congrats to them for their first win. Really did a fantastic job here. But yeah, I mean, P2 would have certainly been possible, but then we get rear-ended and went around, and I think that's what cost us a couple of positions in the end.
We've got ourselves also here from the number 1 team, the driver of Rens Broekman. Rens, how's the race from your perspective?
Yeah, well, a little bit disappointed with 4th. Could have been a little bit better. And I guess people were a bit of different strategies in the middle stint, so was trying to fight some cars. I got hit by one, but I guess that just happens with racing. But it cost us a little bit of time, and
well,
yeah, not the best race from my perspective.
Not the best race for you, but the next race, of course, is a 90-minute race at Zolder. Is that going to prove any better for your team?
Hard to tell. Not sure how well the other cars will go along forward.
Before we let you go then, of course, you finished a little bit further than you thought you would have wanted to today. But any teams that want it, any teams, and drivers, and fans, and sponsors that want to give a shout out to?
Well, I do want to say congrats to Pure for their first win. They've been very, very fast here. Congrats to the rest of the podium, and also an extremely nice drive for Orange.
Well, thank you very much to Kawan towards their second team today, or their first team, but they came home second in their team order. We've got a couple more people to talk to, though, Paul, as we're not going away just yet.
Yeah, certainly not. Who are we going to look to speak to next then, Will?
This is why I'm trying to talk to you. You're going to tell me and I'm going to drag them in.
Well, why don't we speak to Alexander Voss then from Huisveld Core Motorsports, who finished in that 5th place today? Okay, Alexander Voss then, Huisveld Core Motorsports, finishing the race in 5th place after qualifying 10th. Just talk us through that one from your perspective today.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Yeah, we had a quite confident race today. Niels did a fantastic job in the qualification and qualified us in P10, I guess. And yeah, we were quite confident for the race. The goal was every time to reach the top 5 and finish us. At the end, we finished it. Yeah, we did that, and yeah, it was very intense and challenging, especially due to the reason that the track temperature was very high, and the Mercedes is not it's very heavy, I would say, and yeah, so it was very challenging for us.
And we saw with your strategy today that you were able to just stretch your fuel a little bit longer than some of the other teams. Were you making a conscious effort to save that little bit of fuel, or was that just the natural fuel usage in the car with your setup?
Yeah, we saved a lot of fuel in the first and the second stint, but finally I would say we messed the strategy up, and it wasn't completely the correct decision and the fastest option for the race. We lost a few seconds for the driver's change for the last stint, and yeah, the 2 tires we took for the last 20 laps changed the balance of the car so heavy that it was nearly impossible to catch the both undercuts.
Well, we've got 3 rounds of the championship left coming up. We've got the 90 minutes at Zolder, we've got the 6 hours of Spa, and the 3 hours of the Nürburgring. How are you feeling going into the second half of the championship?
I would say after the disconnect from the technical issues from Core Sim Racing team, it's still everything open for every team, so there's still chances to make the podium in the series, and I'm looking forward for it, and yeah, let's see what the other rounds will bring.
Okay, and just before we let you go, anyone you want to give a quick mention to, a quick thank you to?
Yeah, of course, for sure. Thanks to our main sponsor, Huisingfeld Engineering, to our sponsor, VTech, to the whole team, and especially to Niels. And yeah, of course, thanks for providing a quality broadcast to you guys.
Okay, thank you very much, Alexander Voss from Points.com Motorsports, finishing today's race in P number 5. Will?
Yeah, behind that you've got yourself Blancpain Racing, who have themselves actually a very interesting day here today. They're down to P number 8. We have got ourselves a little tank in from that machine. Yoni, what's up? What's going on?
Hello. I don't know what to say. I was practicing whole week, and I just felt that I am not in pretty good pace, but results tell otherwise.
Why not?
There was just there was no about feeling how the car worked, but this morning we made a couple changes that got a whole new feeling to that track, and the car was perfect then.
Okay, so you didn't get a good race here today, but next time out Zolder, you're going to be better at that track?
Possibly.
Possibly. Also, is there any big susu going on right now?
What?
Big sisu.
Sisu?
Sisu.
No,
Okay.
not this time.
But anyone we're going to give a shout out to Glacier Racing team.
Yeah, of course, thanks to Glacier Racing and my family and everyone who watches this race.
That is really tankman going on. We've got a couple of other people to talk to. We're going to hand it back over to Jake. He's goodbye with someone, and that is going to be Jim in P number 7, I believe.
P8 there
P8,
at the end for
my timing
Miko.
scoring messed up, okay?
It's fine. Miko Melkala then joining me from Jim. Jim, we're up there at the front there, Miko, for the early stages, but in the end, you know, you started dropping back. The end of the racing.
And I think that's everyone, isn't it, Paul?
I can't think of anyone else.
Well, final thoughts here, Paul, because a 4GT1, I hate to say, 3 different racetracks, 3 different winners. Next time, it's off to a short track once again. Short track, short race at Zolder.
A very narrow track as well, that with evil curbs on a couple of the chicanes as well, so going to be an interesting race. Could be plenty of mistakes, could be a few accidents in that one, and it's all about just keeping your nose clean, keeping it safe, and try not to get involved in any incidents. But traffic will be a massive issue around that track, I think, next time out.
Yeah, and also when we talk about this one, Jake, is that when we go to Zolder in a couple of weeks-ish time, the thing that's going to be important is qualifying once again. We've seen McLaren's being the top team in terms of qualifying so far this season. Is that going to be the same next time out? Maybe, I would say.
I'd say maybe as well. It's been proven that at any given circuit, be it one that is built around high speed, built around low speed, that the McLaren has managed to get itself towards and be up there and has taken pole position every single time with course sim racing. So maybe that trend might be bucked next time out, maybe not, but track position around there is more important than any other circuit, in my opinion, on the calendar. It's so narrow, it's so tight, overtaking opportunities are limited, you have bounce over curbs which could become a big issue. You know what? That could be a race which could be decided on qualifying, Will.
Randy, say me some words.
Spinach, frogs, and boards OP.
Thank you so much for being a part of our coverage here today in the third round of the Blancpain GT Series on Racesport TV and on iRacing Live. Thank you also to our friends over at Mundo GT as well. We'll be back, of course, with the World Championship Grand Prix Series in 1 week's time. The month of May carries on. And, of course, tomorrow night is the Apex Infotech Indy Elite Series, Indy 500. Catch it here on Racesport TV and on iRacing Live. In the meantime, so well, farewell from Silverstone and farewell from the Blancpain GT Series, the third round of the championship, and we don't know what's going to happen next because really the championship's been upside down ever since the drop of the first green flag. What's going to happen in Zolder? We don't know, but we'll see you there in a few weeks' time.